Hi guys, Danny here from 3 Dimension. So this beginner tutorial will take you through from the concept stage all the way to a full set of working drawings. I decided to make these tutorials as I'd like to share my experience learnt over the past 5 years as a building designer and drafter. If you have any other tips or suggestions I can do to improve this tutorial, please let me know and I'll do my best to improve it. Thank you. Hey guys, Danny here. In this section we'll be running through where to find Revit and which version you should choose. Revit can be downloaded from the Autodesk website and you can usually get a 30-day free trial. I'm not sure if that is different depending on which country you're from, but I'll add a link in the description for you to have a look at. There's two different versions of Revit, there's the full version and there's also the cheaper LT version. There's actually quite a large price difference between the two, Revit LT being the cheaper one. Revit LT is a stripped down version which is missing some of the features of the full version. For instance, you can't model in place, you can't do product rendering, you also can't do piping and plumbing systems, among other things. So it's really up to you to figure out what features you're going to need within your workflow. If you can't get the student version or you don't have a limited budget, then you should definitely go for the full version of Revit. But if you only need the basics, example, you're just doing simple construction drawings when you should be completely fine with the cheaper version of Revit. Hi guys, Danny here. In this section we're just going to run through the main interface in Revit when you first open up the software. Up here you'll see where it says models. This is where you want to open an already existing model and you go through your files here to find where your models are, wherever you've got them saved. New is if you want to make a new Revit file. You can either create a new project or you can create a new project template. Project template is basically a template you set up for how you want to use it for your workflow. I usually don't use templates anyway. I usually just create a project and make a template using a project, which I think it's a bit easier doing it that way, a bit better. It's all the already existing templates you can use. I usually start off with the architectural template and then change that for my own requirements. Then you got your families tab up here. This is where you open up an existing family. You go through and find wherever you have your family saved, and then you have the new families tab. Revit already has existing templates for families, so if you want to make a new family, it's best to go through and pick one of these templates depending on what you want to make. For instance, door, electrical equipment, furniture system, furniture, generic models, etc. We'll run through a bit more with that a bit later on. And then up here you'll see it says recent files. This is just a list of files that have recently been opened. So it's just a quick, easy way to re-access files you've opened recently, which is pretty handy. And down here is the same thing with the families. These are recently families you've opened. It just makes it a bit quicker sometimes when you open up. You don't have to go through and find the last job you're working on. You can just click one of these. So that's it for the main opening interface. Thanks. Okay, so up the top here we have our main ribbon panel. In this beginner tutorial, the main sections we'll be using is the architecture, the insert, massing and site, view, and manage tabs. The architecture tab has all of your main building components such as your wall, door, window, roof, ceiling, floors, stairs, etc. The insert tab is where we import our external DWGs, import PDFs and import images, as well as load families. The massing and site tab has all the main topography, building pad tools, etc. for when you're creating 3D sites. The view tab is where we come in to adjust our visibility graphic settings, rendering, as well as creating new sections and elevations, etc. The manage tab houses all our materials, settings, our transferring project standards, as well as adjusting additional settings and the location parameters, as well as the north position, etc. We'll run through these a bit more later on so you get a bit understanding of it. Once you click on say the architectural tab, you'll see this little expanded panels tab down here, the little arrow at the bottom. That means you can open that up and have additional settings. So up here we also have the ability to minimize this ribbon. has different stages of minimization. As you see, each stage reduces it more until all you have is the little headings with the drop down for each section. I prefer just to leave it completely open like this, so you have all the things available, because it doesn't really take much space anyway, so I don't see the point of really minimizing it. But it's just an option to have if you really need it. Hi guys, Danny here. So in this section we're going to be discussing the property panel and the project browser. The project browser is basically a list of all the different views and schedules and sheets and everything in your project. You can actually move the location of it by clicking just along here, this panel here, and clicking and dragging. You can pull it over to wherever you want it. So if you want it over this side, it snaps in place, or you can grab it again, pull it down the bottom, snap it in place down there. I usually have it just below the properties panel, like this. Snap it in there, so you just a space efficient way of having it for me. You might like it differently, depends. Okay, now this is how you navigate around your project. So these are your sheets which are eventually will print out as PDF. This is where you see all your views and everything placed on the sheets for your plans. You can actually, to open up one of the sheets, you just double click on them like this, and that opens up your sheets. You can also go to the views. Up here is all your views. So this is like the actual views you will be doing the modeling and drawing in. For instance, if I click on the ground floor plan here, it opens that up. You can't see anything at the moment because there's nothing drawn there, but this is where we'll be drawing our floor plans. You can also search the project browser by right clicking on and clicking search, and if you want to find anything, sometimes you can have projects with hundreds of different things. It can be hard to find, so you can just search it in like this. If you want to open a sheet on which one of these views is placed, you can right click on a view and go open sheet, and that'll open the sheet the actual view is placed on. To remove a view from a sheet, you can either click on the little plus icon beside the sheets, right click on it and go remove from sheet, or you can also just click on the actual view. To create a new sheet, right click on the top sheet line here and go new sheet. Then you can select a title block that you've already pre-made. I can show you how to edit those later on, but for now we'll just use the pre-made one, and then go OK, and that'll create a new sheet which you can rename up here in the properties browser to whatever you like. So up here we have our properties browser. This is where we set all the properties for each family or sheet, etc. This controls the main properties of every item in Revit. For instance, if I go up here and click on ground floor plan, use the wall tool, draw a wall. Now I can click on that wall, and this gives me all the properties of that wall up here. For instance, we have the base constraint, which controls where the base of the wall will start. So we have the base of the wall starting at ground level. We have the top constraint, which is unconnected. If we click on that, we can change that to the different top constraints where we'd like the top of the wall to be finished. For instance, window level, pitching height, etc. So if we leave it as unconnected, we come down here where it says unconnected height, we can choose the height of the wall to whatever we like. So if I want to make an 1800 high wall, click apply. Now to view this wall, we go down to the project browser again. We can see our 3D views. If we double click on that created, and you'll see the wall in 3D. We can also use the properties panel to edit the type. So we have a family here, which is a wall. We click that wall, click edit type up here, and it brings up extra parameters we can change. We'll go into further detail on what to do with these later on, but for now, just showing you what you can do. Okay, so that's the basics of the project panel and the project browser. We'll go into further detail on what these can do later on in the tutorial, but just to get you an idea, basic idea of what they are. Guys, so I'll just run through a couple of features in the options menu, which is probably something you should know and can be very helpful. So up here, click on the little file tab, go down to options, click the little options button there. This will bring up the little general options menu here. Okay, something in the general section here, over here you have your save reminder interval. That just selects how often the program will remind you to save. It can be a good feature because sometimes you can have crashes, and if you haven't saved for a couple of hours you can easily lose a couple of hours of work. That's not very good. So mine's set at 30 minutes. You can do it for shorter or longer, whatever suits your workflow. Another good thing is if you come down to the user interface, over here you have keyboard shortcuts. Click on that and this will bring up this other menu here, and this enables you to set your own keyboard shortcuts for all different commands in Revit. For instance, I'll just scroll down here. What do we got? Say import CAD. If you want to import CAD files and you wanted a shortcut for that, click on it and go down here where it says press new keys, and you can just assign whatever keys you want to it. Like if you wanted it to be IC, and click assign. It's already assigned to something else, so I won't do that now, but just get you an idea of what you can do. So I'll just go cancel on that. Or move, for instance. We search for move. Move to here. I've already got one allocated as MV. But yeah, so any of the tools you can allocate your own keyboard shortcuts to. So it's a pretty handy thing when you get more experience. Instead of actually clicking all the buttons up here, you can just type in your commands on the keyboard. It makes it a lot faster. So I'll go cancel on that one for now. Another thing handy here is you control what your background looks like or your selection colors, etc. So if I click this, I can control, I'll go black, that'll make that background black like this. Go back to the options, we can change that again. Go back down to graphics. I just have that white. You can also, for instance, your selection. I've got that. That's normally blue when you first open the software, but I've changed it to green because I find that a bit easier to see when I select things. I see a green. So it's up to you what color you want for that. Down here you can turn on or off hardware acceleration. Just means that with this turned on, it will use your video card to drawing what's visible on the screen. So sometimes if you have problems with your drivers and it's kind of, or you have issues there, you can turn this off and it can sometimes improve performance. It usually is better to leave it on. Okay, in this little section we're going to go through navigating in 2D and 3D views. So to start with, we'll go to your ground floor plan. Make sure you're on that, double click it. Okay, now come up here to the wall tool, up in the top left corner here. Click on that wall tool. You'll see it just has a basic wall selected. Then just draw yourself a box by clicking and dragging till you get 4 points, and just draw a box of walls. That's just to give us a reference so you can see what's going on here. Okay, now to move around in this screen, hold down your center mouse wheel button, click it and hold it down, and drag around. That's how you move around. To zoom in and out, scroll your mouse wheel in and out. There's also, over on the right hand side here, you have a little 2D wheel here. You can use that to zoom in and out too. I don't really recommend using that. It's a lot easier just to use your mouse, but that's just another option you can use. Okay, now we'll go to the 3D view. So down here on your left hand side, you'll see a little menu item in the project browser that says 3D views. Click on the 3D, double click that. That'll bring it into the 3D view here. Another option you can do is click this little house up on the top, very top of your screen. It says default 3D view. You can click on that and that'll bring you to the default 3D view. Okay, now we're in our 3D view. To navigate around this 3D view, hold your shift key down, then hold your center mouse button down, and it brings up this little arrow thing, and now you can move your mouse around and that'll move you around your 3D view. This is like rotating around the center of the object, 3D view. And similarly to the 2D view, to pan around, you just hold your center mouse wheel down and drag it around. Up in the 3D right hand corner here, you have this little box. This is another way you can actually move around the 3D object. So you can click onto any point of this, hold it and drag around. That'll move it around. To reset to certain points of your 3D view, so if you want to reset to the top, you can see it says a little top on here. Click that and that'll bring you to the top of your object. Here, so you have your north, east, south and west points here you can click on. If you want to go to the east of the object, click that. But you can move it around like this. Also, if you lose your object that goes out here and you can't see anything, come up to here, you can click this little house button in the right hand corner. You click that, that'll bring it back into the center. So that's not anything. You also have the navigation wheel over the right hand side here too. You can see that little navigation wheel. Click that. This will bring up this little menu here, which you can use for, say, panning. You click on the pan button and that pans you around, which is the same as pushing your center mouse wheel. The orbit tool does the same thing as holding your shift and pushing the center mouse tool. You can orbit around your object. The zoom tool, that's just to zoom in and out. If you want to center your orbital plane, click this little cent button here, hold that and move it onto where you want it to center. So you can move it onto your object and that'll recenter where your orbit point is. So that's sometimes if it's not on the right spot, you'll be orbiting and your object will be flying off the screen. So that's how you fix that. You can also use the up down tool, which basically just pans up and down. Yeah, so that's the basics of how you navigate in the 2D and 3D views. You'll learn a bit more about this in future items. Now we've completed our 2D and 3D navigation, let's run through selecting. Make sure you have your cursor up here, just click modify and you have your cursor selected. Now go up here and click your window tool, click window. Come down to our walls which we placed previously. Click on these walls and this will place windows within those walls. Click escape twice on your keyboard, it'll come back to your cursor. And now when you click and drag, you'll see a box comes up on the screen. When you click and drag to the right hand direction, it'll only select what is fully encompassed within that box. As you can see, that window goes within that box, so it's coming up as a pre-selection. And you go past this wall and that will be selected. So we drag to the right, it will only select what is fully encompassed within the box. If you go from the left hand direction and drag, you can see it has like a dashed box instead of a solid box, but whatever hits that box will get selected. So it's just handy to help you select what you want to select. Then come into, say, a corner here. If you leave your mouse in one spot, you can also click the tab button and that'll cycle through different selection objects. As you can see down the bottom left hand side, I have the window highlighted, and down the bottom left hand side here, down here, when it's highlighted, you'll see it'll come up with what is actually selected. So it says Windows Sliding Fixed Transom. That's a good way to see what you're actually selecting, but also comes up with a little box pop up. So if I click tab a few times, you'll see that it can select the whole chain of walls. So yeah, it's just different ways of selecting things. You'll get a hang of that as you keep working through the software. It's the same in 3D view. So you come up here and you go to your little 3D view box up the top left hand side here, or come down to your 3D view browser and you can click this button here too to get to our 3D view as we learnt previously. It's the same principle in the 3D view. So you drag to the right and whatever is fully encompassed with that box will be selected, or drag to the left and whatever hits that box is selected. And you can also use the tab key to cycle through different items here too. Okay, now in this section we'll run through keyboard shortcuts. Make sure you're on the ground floor plan over in your project browser, double click ground floor plan, and you'll see the top view of your walls and your windows we've previously drawn. Keyboard shortcuts are quite handy because it makes it a lot quicker than coming up and clicking each one of these tools up here. So for instance, you got your modify move tool here. If you click the modify tab and come to move, we click on that, come down here, we can select an item, select your wall, click enter. Now you can click again and move in the direction you want to move this item. You can either move it and just click, or you can actually type in a distance. So you can come down your keyboard here and type in 200, click enter, and that'll move your wall across by 200. A quicker way to do this is to just type MV on your keyboard, MV, and that'll bring up the move tool, and you can do the same thing. It's just quicker than coming up here to your menu and finding the tools. So you can actually customize all these to exactly how you want it, as I've shown previously. In the file menu up here, go to options, user interface, the second in the menu here, then go down to your keyboard shortcuts, click that. This will bring up a menu, and for instance we just use the move tool. So up here it says search, type in move, and you'll see down in this list the move tool. Click on that, that'll bring up this, and you see MV has already been allocated to this, which is what we used. Click OK, cancel for now, just to show you where you can change these. So there's lots of, just giving you an example of another one. If we use our selection tool again, to select everything here, type RO, this will bring up the rotate tool. To use that, click wherever you want on the screen, then rotate it around, and that'll rotate in that direction. Yeah, so another example of a quick keyboard shortcut is to rotate. So click and drag over all your items. Type RO in your keyboard, RO. That'll bring up your rotate command. To use this tool, start with where you want to start the rotation angle. So for instance, you want to start rotating from this point, click there, and you can drag around. It'll show you how many degrees you're rotating by. So you can pull that around to wherever you want it and click again, and that rotates it for you. It's also up here in the modify tab. If you come up here, you can see modify. Down here, this is the rotate tool in the modifier. So you click that, and this will bring up the same option. You can also rotate using the angle up here. So you see in this little green bar here, it has an item saying angle. Click in that, and you can type in the specific angle you want. So if you want to move by 45 degrees, type 45. Push enter, and that'll rotate it around by 45 degrees. So yeah, you can pretty much assign that to most commands in Revit. There's a lot of ones that have already been assigned, but you can go into that menu I showed you and you can customize it to whatever suits you. So it's a very handy feature. Okay, in this section we're going to run through the difference between a project and a project template. So up in your left hand corner here, click the file menu, highlight new, and you'll see create Revit file project. Click project. This brings up a little box here, and you can select underneath where it says template file. You'll see a drop down box. This is all like the included templates that you get when you install Revit. This is just like somewhere to start with when you're making your own template. I'd usually start with architectural template, or you can also browse if you already have one you've downloaded, or you got your own template files. You can come through here and find that. So the next option is to either choose create new project or new project template. So the project template is like a template you can set up for all your future projects. So you can have different templates suiting different type of workflows you want to do, etc. but you can just set up all your browsers and your sheets and everything, and all your families, etc., to make it quicker when you're doing different projects. Personally, I recommend just using the Create New Project tool even to make templates, because that way, if you use the project to make a template, when you're in your Explorer, Windows Explorer, you can just double click on your template file. That'll open it up as a project, and then you can work on it and save it, and it'll save as a project. Because if you open a template file through your Explorer browser, when you go to save it, you can only save it as a template. So yeah, it's just a better way, I personally think, just to use the project tool here. It's a bit confusing, but when you get a bit more experience, you understand what I mean. It's up to you, but depending on your workflow, but I recommend using the Create New Project function even to make a template. We'll now be running through how to set up your levels. Usually to set up levels, I use elevations. In this view, we currently have the elevations hidden. So to show things that are hidden, down the bottom here, you'll see this little light bulb. It says Reveal Hidden Elements. Click on that, and that'll bring up anything that's hidden in your view. Up the top here, click on the View tab, click on Elevations, and this will bring up the elevation marker. So we'll put one around each side of the building. So one here, with the arrow pointing towards the building, 2, 3, and then 4. Now to go to these elevations, you can come over to your project browser here, and now that we've added them, you'll see there's a little tab underneath Views. Come down to Elevations where it says Building Elevation, click on the plus, and we have our 4 elevations here we just created. So you can either just double click on one of these in the project browser, and that'll take you to the elevation, or we can go back to our floor plan up here, ground floor plan, click on one of the little elevation arrows, right click on it and go to elevation view. That'll also take you to elevation view. So go back to your floor plan. We'll have a look at this one here, the bottom one. So click on that, go to elevation. This little box you see here is a crop region. Over in the properties panel here, we have our extents tab where it says crop view and crop region visible. Uncheck crop view. This will bring up everything. Now we can click on our elevations here. These little lines here are actually elevations. So click on one of them and they're all locked together. So you can just grab this little marker here, this little circle, and drag it all the way across. Drag the other one on the other side, pull that across too. Here's our walls and our window we created earlier. Okay, so each one of these elevations will have a name. So click on one of these lines, click on the little box beside it, and that'll add the label to it. Do that for all of them. So we have our ground level, our pad level, our window level, our pitching height, the raised pitching height. We can delete this raised pitching height because we won't be needing that. So just click delete, and that will delete that entire level as well as all the views associated with it. Yeah, so to change the heights of these levels that we have set up, we can use a dimension. Click from the ground level to the window level, and then another one from the ground level to the pitching height. And to change the pitching height, we can click on the pitching height line, and you can just type in whichever height you want the pitching height to be of your roof. So at the moment it's 2700. If you want to make that 2400, just change it to 2400, and that'll bring the level down. But we'll keep it at 2700 for now, 2740. Same goes with any of your other levels. Another way you can do it is you can actually click on a level and you can just move it by using the move command that we learned earlier, with just a quick keyboard shortcut of MV. Then you can just move it and type in whatever distance you want to move it. So if you want to move the pad level down by 500, just type 500, click enter. I will undo that by using Control Z. Also, when you click on one of these elevation lines, up here in our properties panel, we have the elevation here, a number of 20,150. That's actually that's the height of it in relation to the project base point. in our file. So we can also change that. So at the moment it's 20,150. We can change it to 22,000, and that'll move it up to 22,000. So yeah, there's multiple ways you can move the levels. You'll kind of find your own way that you prefer to do it as you get more advanced. But that's just kind of a quick explanation of some of the ways you can do it. Yeah, so say for instance you want your wall to start at ground level and go up to the pitching height. Click on your wall. At the moment it's over here in the properties panel. We have a base constraint which is set to ground level. That's why the bottom of the wall is sitting at that ground level. If you want the top of the wall to go up to the pitching height, over here it says top constraint. At the moment it says unconnected. Click on that, change that up to pitching height, and that'll make the wall extend all the way to the pitching height. The advantage of these levels being this way is now that the top of this wall is connected to that pitching height, when I move this it'll automatically move the wall. So if I go move tool, move that up by 400, the wall height also extends with it. So it saves a lot of time when you're needing to move things around. If things are snapped in the right place, they'll move automatically. You can also offset the top of the wall from the top of the pitching height. So over here in the properties panel we have top offset. Click on that. If you want the top of the wall to be sitting 300 below the pitching height, type in -300, and that will now be sitting 300 below, and it'll stay that way when you move the pitching height. So if I move the pitching height again now up by say 400, the top of the wall will stay 300 below it. You can do the same with the bottom of the wall. So where it says base offset, if I wanted that to be sitting 300 above the ground level, just type 300, push enter. You can see the bottom of the wall has popped up 300, and that will stay there when you move the ground level. For instance, if I move the ground level up by 400, the bottom of the wall stays in the same spot. As you see, that window also moved to the ground level. That's because the constraint of the window over here in the properties panel is set to ground level. We can also increase the sill height, same as we can with the wall sort of thing. So over here it says sill height, change that to 300. And that'll increase the height of our sill of our window to sit 300 above the ground level all the time. So if I move this ground level back down by 400, it all follows, everything's followed because it's all linked together. Yeah, so you can also click on these elevation lines and change the name of the elevations. Over here where it says properties, over here in our properties panel, come down to name. You can change this name to whatever you want. So if you just want this to be roof height, click, change that to that, push enter, and that'll change it to roof height. And you can also just double click on it over here. So click on the line, click on the label, and then you can change it here. So yeah, that does the same thing. So yeah, there's multiple ways of doing everything. There's a lot of people do things different ways to each other, and you just find the best way you like to do things over time. If you want to create a new level, up the top here, click on the architecture tab, and over the right here you'll see under the datum section, level. Click on that and come back down to your elevation, and you can click and drag wherever you want to add this level. So I add one up above here. Click on the level, click your little box on the side here. At the moment you see it's just automatically called a window level PP, and again you can just change that to whatever you like. So if you want to call that like raised roof section, it'll ask you if you want to rename the corresponding views, because when I created that level it also created another view over here in your floor plan. So you can see it says window level PP. So I'll say yes, and that'll automatically also change the name of it in the view here. So it changed it to raised roof, as you can see. If you want to have this floor plan named separately, you'd click no to that, so that way the floor plan can be named separately to the elevation. Now we're just going to run through setting up walls. So up here in your ribbon you'll see the architecture tab. Click on the wall button. Down here in the properties panel you click on the first drop down here. This will bring up the different wall types we already have created in the family. So you see we've got a brick wall with 110mm thick, that's why I've called it brick 110. We've got brick veneer, which is 230/70, so that means the whole wall is 230 wide and the stud is 70mm. Then we have 240/90, that's similar, it just means that the whole wall is 240 wide and there's a 90mm stud. You can name these however you want to name them. So in Australia, most dwellings are brick veneer. So it's got like a 110mm brick on the outside with a 40 to 50mm cavity, like just a air gap in between, and then we'll have the stud wall, usually a timber or a steel stud. That's normally between 70 to 90mm, the stud. So that's why I've got these all set up like this. So we'll click on brick 110 to start with, and if you want to change this wall type, you want to create another wall type, up here where it says new walls, beside that click edit type. This will bring up the panel here which we can change all the configurations of this particular wall type we have at the top here. So the type we have selected is a brick 110. You can rename that over here on the right hand side if you click rename. This means you can rename it to whatever you like, so I could call it block 190. Okay, and if I want to change this to a block wall, click here where it says structure underneath construction, click edit, and this is where we set up the layers of the wall basically. So at the moment we've just got the one inside the core boundary, and the function, you can choose what sort of function this particular layer has. So this is structure because it's part of the structure of the building. You can make substrate, thermal air layer, finishing, or membrane. So for instance, finishing would only be the outside layer of the wall, so you might have render or something, or some sort of cladding on the wall, so you make that a finishing, but we'll leave it as structure for now for this one. The material is what sort of material you want this particular layer to be made from. At the moment it's austral bricks, clay bricks, but because we renamed it to block, we can click on this little square box with little dots on it. That'll bring up our materials panel, so we can choose what material you want. So I should have a block one in here. So up here you can search for materials you have in your project. So click on that and I'm going to type in block. Out here you can see we've got block work polished charcoal material, it's already been created, so I click on that. And over here, this is all the different parameters you can set up for it. So for the surface pattern, that's what would be shown on the exterior of the material when we see it in the elevations. So here, the foreground, we have home block work, so this, we'll see a block work pattern, and this is the colour you want to display in. So that's actually kind of a light grey at the moment. So that means it'll show up as a light grey material on your elevations. Over here you have your identity, click on that. This is where you can change the name, so I can change the name here to just blockwork polished or something, get rid of all that if I want to. And description, you can write in here your own description of whatever you want for it. Class, that's the type of class, so we got down here, drop that down, you can see there's different classes like ceramic, concrete, earth, etc. We've got this on the masonry because it obviously blocks the masonry wall. So, and down here you can set up all your product information, for instance like the manufacturer, the model type of it, the cost, etc. We'll go back to our graphics panel. Down here the cut pattern is what you'll see when you're cutting through the wall. So usually on the floor plan all your walls displayed would be a cut pattern. So this will be dictating what you want it to look like when you're on the floor plan. So at the moment we've got diagonal down. You can change that to any other pattern you like, depending how you want your plans to look. And the appearance panel at the top here. This is what to do with rendering. So if you're doing 3D renders in your family, this appearance is where you can change it to here. So this is a quick preview of what it will look like when it's rendered. So you can change the color, for instance, if you want it to render as like a orange or something, click that. You see it comes as an orange color. You can also overlay an image on it. You click here and it will open up. If you want some sort of image to be displaying on it, you can do that too. Like textures and everything, you put like a real block texture on it so it renders, it looks more realistic. Down here we've got reflectivity, you want it to be more reflective type of material, you turn that on. You can change these parameters here to change how reflective he looks. Transparency, if you want it to be sort of transparent, so it'd be kind of like almost like a glass. You can see, turn that up so you can see through the material. Okay, now we've changed it to our blockwork polished. Click OK. So in this next one where it says thickness, we can change the thickness of the wall. So blockwork is usually 90mm or 190mm, so we'll change that to 190. Click enter. Now come in here, click OK. And now this has changed from, originally had it as a brick 110 wall, now we've changed to a block 190 wall. So if we click OK, now we're back onto our ground floor plan. You can click and drag this wall out and you'll see it's a 190 thick wall. We chose that dashed line as the cut image. That's what you'll see in the floor plan. Now I'll go back to our click on the wall tool again up here. Go back to edit. And as we obviously just changed that from brick wall back to a block wall, if we want to change that back, we can rename that back to brick 110 like it originally was. Now go back to our structure, click edit. Where it says material, you can click that again, open it up, and we'll go back to our Austral brick. Type in a search bar, Austral Urban 1 Silver, click that on, and this will bring it back to what it was before with our same textures and everything. For the foreground, I want to actually be showing a brick texture on this, so we'll click on the pattern for the foreground. So at the top here it says pattern type, we have drafting and model. We want to be clicking on the model type and scroll down until we find the brick 24086. Click on that and that'll give us our brick texture on the walls, exterior. So when we look at it in elevations, we'll see actually a brick texture on the wall. So click OK. Now we've got the correct material back on. Now we need to change our thickness again. Change that back to 110 and click OK. Now we've got back to the brick 110 wall again. Instead of changing one of the original walls, we can actually come up here to the right hand side, click duplicate and rename a new wall we want. So this way, instead of actually changing existing ones we have, we can create a new one. So type in blockwork 190, click OK, and up here you'll see it's dropped them in. You still have the brick 110 as well as the blockwork 190. So click on that, and we can go back to our edit and we can change it now to our blockwork. Type in blockwork polished, click OK, change that to 190, click OK, and now we've got our separate wall, a blockwork 190. And to change our wall types, as you remember again, we go to the properties panel, click on that, change it back to brick 110. You can draw it out, or you can change it to like a brick veneer 24090, draw that out, and see we've got our brick layer on the outside, we've got our air gap in the middle here, and then we've got our stud on the inside. Also, when you're drawing a wall, come back to wall type here, we've got our brick veneer wall selected. So up here we've got a little green bar here. We can modify things like the depth and the height, etc. from this little bar. So depth is basically kind of like where the base of the wall is. So at the moment it says unconnected, but we'll change that to pad level. So that means the base of the wall will be starting at pad level. And then when we change this little drop down menu here to height, at the moment it says unconnected, we'll change that to the pitching height. So it means the top of the wall will finish at the pitching height. So over here where it says location line, this is where we select where the actual click point we want to be in reference to the wall. For instance, if I click wall center line, when I draw a wall, you can see how my cursor and line is in the middle of the wall. But if we change that to finish face exterior, you can see the cursor and line is on the exterior of the brickwork when we drag and drop it. So that's where our point is from the finished face exterior. So if we change this to finished face interior, it's on the opposite side, so this would be on the finished face of our stud work. You can also offset the walls from a certain point. So if you want to offset it from the exterior, so click Finish Face Exterior. Over here where it says offset, type in 500. That means the Finish Face Exterior will be offset of 500 from where you click. So I click here, you can see the walls. The Finish Face Exterior is 500 away from where I'm clicking and dragging. Another thing up here we have is chain. So with the chain on, when I click a wall and click the next point, it automatically starts another wall and they'll be linked together. If you turn off chain up here, when we click a wall and click again, it will finish the wall, and when you click the next one, it will start a new wall. So that's what that function does, the chain tool. Okay, come back here, click our wall tool again, and up over here on the right hand side, you'll have this little box here with different selection types. So at the moment we just had it on the line tool, which means all our walls will be drawn as lines. If you want to draw your walls as a rectangle, click on the rectangle box beside it, and this will drag out a rectangle of walls. Second click and then you'll finish your rectangle. There's a lot of other shapes, like we got a polygon here, etc. That draws out a polygon. And back down in a green box here we have sides. You can choose the number of sides you want the polygon to have. So make that 10, and then you'll see we'll draw a polygon with 10 sides. Make that 5. Get 5, and then we have like a pentagon basically. Get our circle here as well, a circle tool. And this will just draw out a circle obviously. So it's actually, at the moment we can type in the actual radius, so we type in 5,000, enter, it'll be a 5,000 radius circle, so in total it'll be a 10,000mm diameter. So the majority of the time in construction you'll be drawing straight walls with straight line or square tools. You don't often do pentagons, etc. But if you do need to use arcs and stuff, you can also use all these other tools here. So if you're in center ends arc, you click the center point, you click your starting point of the arc, and then you can drag it around with the finishing point. Every now and then you'll do walls that mean rounded walls, etc. So you will use these other tools sometimes, but they're not as common as the straight line tools. So with the pick line tool, for instance, I've got a dashed line drawn here. If I go over here to the pick line tool, if I click on that line, it'll drop a wall exactly on where that line is. Now we're just going to run through setting up our sheets and title blocks. So come over here into your properties panel, scroll all the way down until you get to the sheets section. Here is our list of sheets we have set up in the project. So we've got our title page, site plan, floor plan, door and window schedule, building elevations, etc. To open up a sheet, just double click on it. For instance, we'll go to our site plan, double click on it. This opens up our site plan sheet. This is our title block here, so click on your title block. Up here you can actually change the different title blocks you have loaded in the project. For instance, we've only got two here, like a title page and title block, and they look pretty much the same. So to edit one of these title blocks, click on the title block, go up the top here, and you'll see this little edit family button. Click on that. This will open up our editor, so we can edit the title block. So you can click on any of the lines, etc., drag them around, basically set them up however you ever like. Down here we have our client, click on client name. So this is a label, and our labels are like set up to associate with project parameters in our project. So up here on this properties panel we have our label. Down here where the different types are, it's just presets you have for the different type of text the label is showing us. So we choose to say 1.3, it'll make it 1.3mm text. 2.8, put it back to 2.8, which is what it was. So you can change the text size, and if you click edit type here, it brings up all the different settings. So you can change the color, the leader offset, the text font, text size, etc. We want to make it bold, italic, underline. There's all the settings here if you want to change all those. We won't go through that now. Go in here and click OK. Okay, over here on the properties panel again, come down here where it says label. We click on edit. This is where we choose what the label is associated with in the project. So at the moment we have it as associated with the client name. So The advantage of this is when we're typing in a client name in the title bar, and we can also associate that with any other sheet and a label. So for instance, on the title page, we could have client name sitting up the top somewhere, and when we change it on here, it'll change it also on the other pages. So it's just kind of like a good way to do things, so you don't have to like check every single page and double up on information. You can type it into one page and it sets it up everywhere. So this is all the other parameters we have here too. So we can put in, for instance, the current revision date. To add these in, just click on one of them, click this little green button here, and this will add it into the parameter. If we click OK, you'll see it'll add another thing beside it with current revision. Obviously you don't want that showing here, so we'll take that back off, but just letting you know what you can do. So take that off, click OK. So that's how our labels work. It'll take you a little while to get your head around it, but as you move along, get more experience, you'll be able to pick it up pretty easily. Over here we have a project proposed and site address, etc. These are the same, so these are actually labels. So if I click on one of these, click edit, I have site address 2, 3, 4, etc. parameters. These parameters are added into the family because in Revit, for the site address, you can't actually edit it in your title block. So I made my own parameters so that I can edit the site address within the title block without having to go into the project information. So down here you can add your own like label, etc. for your logo, etc. for a business or whatever. So if you go up to insert at the top panel here, you can go import image, and we can import our logo in, drop it in. You can change the size of it. Put it down in your title block like that. Drag your line across. Then if you wanted to put some other information here, like your phone number, etc., go up here, go create, click text, then you can type in whatever, like phone number, put your phone number in or your email address, etc., and you have a list of that stuff there. Okay, once you've done editing your title block, go up here, click load into project, and then if you want to save this externally, you can click say yes, or if you click no, it means it won't change it on the external file, but it'll only update it in this drawing file. So we'll click no in this instance, and then go override existing version. So this will override the existing version that's existing in the in the project at the moment. So click override existing version, and then you can see we've got our logo showing on here and our phone number. So that's how you edit your title block. Now that it's loaded into our drawing, we can come down here and we can edit our client name. So we'll call that like Mary Poppins. Chuck that in. For the address, we can type an address, whatever you want to call it, like 27 Banana Road, Maryborough, Queensland 4270. That's how you change your address. Because I made my own parameters, we can edit it directly in a title block. So if you're not using this title block I've made, and you have a different one which doesn't have the parameters set up like I have, to change the project site address, you come up the top here, these panels are, go along where it says clicks manage, and over here you'll see project information. Click on that, and this brings up, so you can see I've added mine in here, so I've got them on the top here, but otherwise you come down here and you'll see it's a project address, project number, etc. That's another location you can change these details if you haven't set up your own parameters. Just click OK. Over here, if you want to create a new sheet in our project browser, right click on the sheet in here and click new sheet. Then you can choose the title block you want to use. So we're just using our standard A3 title block. Click OK, and then you'll see it pop up here as a new unnamed sheet. So click on that. You can double click on it, and then it'll bring up the number and the name over here. So you can change that to whatever number we want it to be. So at the moment it's number 11. We'll leave it at that. And the sheet name, we can make it internals. Call it whatever you like. This is click enter. Over here we've got our sheet called internals with the title block we selected. So go to our buildings elevation tab here, double click on that. And if you want to put a view, for instance earlier we created these elevations, come up to your view elevations panel here, click on one of these elevations, click and drag onto your view over here, onto your sheet I mean, and that'll drop the elevation onto that view onto the sheet. At the moment, you see we've got this box here, that's our crop region. You can move that across like that, so it's not hanging over the edge of the sheet. We can turn this on and off over here in our properties panel, where it says crop region visible. Uncheck that, and that'll get rid of the crop region. Okay, now we're just going to run through setting up your floors and floor types. So up here in your ribbon, go to your architecture tab, click on floor. Same as we did with the walls over here in the properties panel, you have your drop down for different floor types. So you've got 6 or 7 different types here. So we're going to choose the concrete type, concrete 100mm, click on that. Over here you have your edit type panel, click on that. And it's the same as the walls basically with the structure. Over here under your value, click edit beside structure. And similar thing, you have your core structure, etc. In here we have the material type, so we've got it as concrete in situ. Open that up and you have materials here. So concrete in situ over here, similar to what we had before, you can choose your foreground pattern, which is what we'll show on the floor plan. We're going to leave that as blank, so we don't really want anything shown for the concrete in the floor plan. Down here, where the cap pattern is in the foreground, you can see we have a concrete pattern, so that means when we do sections, etc., and we cut through the middle of the concrete, this is what we'll be showing, this concrete pattern. So you can click on that and you can change that to any other pattern you like. We're just going to leave it on that for now. It's the same thing, you can change the name of it, etc., because these are all the same materials that are used throughout the project. But we went through that a bit earlier, so we'll go okay for now, just leave it as it is. And over here, same thing, you can change the thickness of your floor. I'm just going to leave it as 100mm, but you can change that to whatever you like, depending on what sort of concrete you're using, etc. So we'll click OK. OK again. And the same thing is, if you want to duplicate this and make another floor, just click Edit Type, go Duplicate. And if you want to make like a, I don't know, polished concrete, something like that, just type polished concrete, enter. Then you can change your material. Up here you can see we've created our polished concrete. Go to structure, change your material to, see if I've got any polished concrete in here. One here doesn't look like we've got polished concrete, so we can create a new material down the bottom here with this little circle and a plus is. Click on that and you can go create new material. Okay, now we can see we've got our default new material here. We've got that selected, so up here on the identity panel, click that. We'll change that to polished concrete. Description, you can type whatever you want in there. You can call it, you know, polished concrete, 32 MPa, whatever you want to write in there. And the graphics over here. So now we're on a graphics section, come down to the surface pattern, the polished concrete. We'll make that, so you've got your drafting and your model type. The drafting pattern basically scales according to what you have your view scale as, while the model type will actually keep it as a certain scale. The scale will always stay the same. So we'll probably just go for the drafting type in this one, and we'll choose concrete. Okay, and that'll show us like a concrete sort of pattern on top of it. For the cut pattern, maybe on this one we'll choose, we'll just go for a diagonal up pattern. It means when you cut through it, it'll show us diagonal up arrows. Let's click OK. Then we got our polished concrete. Click OK again. So we've still got our floor selected, polished concrete. Up here on the right hand side we have our different selection tools similar to we do on the walls. So we're going to use the rectangular one because we have a rectangular shaped building. So click that and you can click on one corner, drag it out to the other corner, and these pink lines control where the boundary of the floor is going to be. So you can actually lock them to the walls after we've done it by clicking these little padlocks. That just means that when you move your wall, these lines are going to move with it, so your floor will adjust with the walls. So now we've done that, we can click Finish Edit Mode, and you can see we've got our floor there with our patch we chose on top, polished concrete floor. We can tab through. If you highlight the edge of this wall here and click the tab button until we have a polished concrete selected, you can see the little label there, it says polished concrete. Click on that. If you want to edit the boundary again, come up to the top here, and you'll see this edit boundary button. Click on that, and that'll bring our boundary back up again. We can also select all these and delete it. I'll show you another way you can choose the walls. So up here we have our Pick Walls tool. We can click on that and we can just click the walls and that'll draw our boundary. At the moment it's snapped to the inside walls of the walls. We want it to the outside, so we can click on this little arrows here, the flip arrows, and that'll move it to the outside of the walls, which is where we want our slab sitting. So we can just push up Finish Edit Mode at the top here, click Finish Edit, and that's our floor. To make sure this floor is sitting at the right location, tab through, select the floor, and over the side here we can see in our properties panel where it says level. At the moment it's sitting on ground level. That's pretty much where we want it, but if you want it to say be sitting at the pitching height, you can select that and that'll put it up on the top of the walls with your roof height. We obviously don't want it there, so we'll put it back down to ground level, but just showing you what you can do to change it. You can also offset it from that level, so if you have like a step down your slab or whatever, this height offset from level means that from the ground level we take -100. That means the slab will be sitting 100 millimeters lower than the ground level. We'll reset that back to 0 there. Now we go in our 3D view, up here at the very top you can see this little house button. That's an easy way to go to the default 3D view. So click on that. You can see we've got our walls here. This one's sitting up a bit high. Obviously these other walls are only an unconnected height and they're sitting 2000 high. So what you can also do if you want the walls to be the same height is you type MA, that'll bring up the match tool. Click on that wall and then click on the other walls and that'll match them to the same height as that wall. You see we've got our 4 walls, and at the bottom here we get our concrete slab with the hatch on it that we chose. And I'll show you again, if we click on that slab in the 3D view, we offset that from the level by -300. 300. You'll see that'll drop it down 300 below that level. So come back over here, click back on our ground floor plan. If you want to change the floor type, tab through again. So you've got our polished concrete highlight, click on it, edit it down to say wet area. This is wet area tile, so click on that. You see it changes to the wet area. Over here you can also see some down here the dimensions. You can see the area of your floor. Below here, see the area is 4.1.5 square meters. That's another handy thing to look at if you want to work out square meterage, etc. You can look at that in this panel here. And also it shows like the thickness, which is 10 millimeters, elevation top and bottom, volume, etc. So that can be pretty handy, some of this information here. So with the floor you can also use your other things, like if you wanted the polygon floor with say 5 sides, pull it out and it'll draw your polygon floor. It's a similar, the tools are similar across most of the different type of structures. So delete that, go back up to our floor. Same thing, you can pick lines on this too, so if you want to just pick the lines on the outside of the walls, you can click that. That'll do the same thing, making another floor. You can also do circles or all the same sort of tools you can in other ones. So with floors, you can also do edges on the floors. So So we'll come back down to our floor here. We've got currently showing as wet area tiles. Looking at that, we'll change it back to our concrete 100mm. Now we go up here in the top panel here, we click our little house button to go back to the default 3D view. Click on that. And down here we have our slab. You can also add edges to the slab, so like footings, etc. So we go up to our floor panel, there's a little drop down below, click on that. Come down the bottom here, we have floor slab edge. Click on that. And this will be, in our properties panel, we have the different type of edges we have created. I've already got some in here. So because there's no brick veneer in this one, it's just a regular stud wall. Come down here, it says the drop down menu, click the slab edge no brick. Now over here, in your 3D view, you can click the edge of the slab, bottom edge here, and that'll put the slab edge on. So click it, that artist's slab edge. We can go around to all the edges, click them all. There we go, we have our slab edges or footings added to the bottom of the slab. Now we're just going to run through importing families into the project. So the first way we're going to run through is go up to the top ribbon bar here, where it says insert, click on that, insert tab. Over here you'll see it says load family. So click on that, and this will open up into your computer, and you can go to where you have your family saved. You probably don't have any, you might not have any yet if you're just starting, and in here you see we've got all these different families here. So in 800 induction cooktop, if you click on that, you bring up a little image on the side here. There's a couple of different ones here, say 900 electric oven. Click on that one, you can see what the image on the side here of what the family looks like. So down here you can just click open, and that'll import the family into Revit. You can see here it's a 2018 family, so it was upgrading to a 2022. So that's imported the family. So over here, if you want to find that family, you go architecture component, and there it is, 900 built-in electric oven. We can place it in the family. We got our 3D view up here. You can see we've got our oven sitting there. So we'll delete that. Go back to our ground floor plan over here. Another way I normally do it is I just go through my Windows Explorer and find the families. It's just an easier way, better way to find things, I think. And then if you want to put the family in, you can just click on it. For instance, I've got the shower door 700 here. Click on that, drag it straight into Revit, and there you go. It's in there. You can just drop it in. So I think that's a better way to do it personally. You can also open up the families directly from within your Explorer, so double click on that, and that'll open up the actual family. You can edit the family. So it takes a bit of time to get used to editing families, so it's a bit more like complex. So I probably won't go through that right now, but that's something you'll be handy to know how to do when you're getting a bit more involved, and because like you end up doing it quite a lot to adjust families to make them work how you want them to work. So you'll run through that later, but you can click up on the top here, load into project and close. So click on that, and that'll load you into the project and close the family. So that's another way you can do it as well. So there's multiple ways you can put families in. So pretty simple, just a quick run through of how you put families into your project. So now we're starting a little project here. We're going to do a little granny flat. So I'll run through the full preliminary plans and how to draw these plans on Revit based on starting from a sketch a customer has given you. So here we'll go to our floor plan here, on the ground floor plan. We'll delete all these walls and windows, etc. to start from scratch. We've got our 3D view, make sure there's nothing there. You can see it's completely blank. So go back to the ground floor plan. Okay, so we'll start with inserting the image of the sketch a client has given. So go up the top here, we'll go insert, go import image, navigate to where your image is saved of the proposed floor plan sketch. So click on that, go open. This will bring the image into the ground floor plan area. That. Click on the little reveal hidden element button down the bottom here, so you can see where our elevation markers are. Okay, what we'll do is we're going to scale this first. So we're going to base it on a 7.5 meter wide building. So what we'll do here is we'll click the scale button at the top here. That's in the modifier tab, scale. Click on that one. And now click the bottom corner of this building right here, right at the very bottom corner on the sketch. Click again on the top left hand corner, and then we'll type in 7,500. And that'll scale our drawing, so we know the sketch is roughly to scale. Now what we're going to do is individually select our elevation markers. So you want to select the elevation marker as well as the tab, pull it out to the side here, do the same with the other ones, pull them all out to the side. Like that. Now click these little arrows and we can see where our elevation line is. So we'll drag that up to the side of the building, like this. Same as this one, pull it up like that. Next one, pull that up. So the side of the building. We can adjust them a bit further later on, but we'll just get them roughly in position for now. We've got it imported. So what we're going to do is, these look like they want to have a brick veneer wall on the outside here. So what we'll do is go up to our architecture tab. We'll click the wall button. Down here, we'll make sure we got the brick veneer wall. We're going to go 230/70 brick veneer. Come up here, make sure we got this set to, in our green tab here, make sure this is set to finish face exterior. Click on that. If this is going too fast at all, you can just like pause the video or reverse back, etc. But yeah, we'll start with that. Click on the very top corner here on the outside of the wall because we chose finish face exterior. I'm going to drag that all the way along. You can see our line isn't perfectly set up on a sketch, that's okay as long as our lines are straight. It's 10,400 millimeters long, 10.4 meters. Pull it all the way down to this bottom corner, all the way out to your next corner, and then back up so they line up, finish with the first wall we created. Now we've got our full outside walls here. Now to do the internal walls, come back up to your wall tool, here the architecture tab, click on that, and click back down here and go to our timber stud 70. That's a 70mm timber stud. We can use those for the internal walls. So click on that. And back up here, we can leave it on wall center line for now. So we'll just click on where they've got their little wall drawn internally. Start on the edge of the wall, the external wall, pull all the way down, and just sort of go around and fill in all your internal walls. So here it says BIR, that's like a bedroom robe, so follow that line, another wall in there. This is a bathroom, so we've got another wall to come down straight through here, like that. Then we've got a little WC here, which is a little water closet, so we'll draw a little wall in, come across here like that. Push escape between each sort of wall, so come up here, bedroom 2, there's a linen cupboard in front of it, so we'll start here, draw this little wall in, pull it all the way across to the wall here. Once you've done that, you can push escape and start again with this linen wall. Come down here, join that one up with that bedroom 2 wall. We've got a little robe inside here too, so we'll fill that one in. And that's pretty much all the internal walls done, so that's pretty simple and quick. Now good idea is to actually dimension it before you put anything else in, so that way you know all your walls and everything dimensioned correctly and you don't actually accidentally snap your dimension to the wrong thing. So we click on our image here, click on the image and just type HH on your keyboard. This will quickly hide the image out of the way for now. So click HH and down here where we've got the little close reveal hidden elements, click that tool. Now we can't see the image, so that kind of gets it out of the way for the minute. So now I'll start putting some dimensions on the externals of these walls. So up the top here, in your annotation tab, you see in the ribbon, click annotate. Over here we've got our different dimension types. Most of the time you'll be using the align dimension tool, so click on that. Come down here, make sure it's set to wall faces, green tab here, and individual reference, not entire walls, make sure it's individual reference selected. Now we can select the, usually you do, to start with dimensions, you do the overall of the building. So we'll click on this one wall here, and the other wall on the opposite side, drag that out. Do the same thing with this other length, so click on this wall here and over the other, completely the other side. Click it again, drag out, and then click. Do this to all 4 sides. So we've got all our overalls dimensioned. And now we're going to dimensions the external and interior walls. So this is where you can use the entire wall tool up here. So up here where you got the little green low, changes from individual reference to entire walls. Now what we can do is click this wall here, and it will dimension the whole wall as well as all the internal walls. So click that on each side, we pull it out, and you can see it automatically dimensions our exterior walls as well as the internal walls along that wall. Do that on all 4 sides. And we have most of our internal walls dimensioned as well as the exterior walls. So it's a pretty quick and handy tool and quick way to dimension things if you don't want to individually click each wall. You can also go back up here to this green bar, click individual references. This is handy for certain, like you'll probably end up using this most of the time, because sometimes the automatic wall doesn't select where you want it to. So for instance, I want to run a dimension through here now, so I'll click it one on here, the external wall, once on the interior, and then both sides of this internal wall, come all the way across to this other wall, dimension both sides of that, drag it down in front of these other dimensions, and that'll give us dimensions through here which we didn't get before. Same as on the top here, we want to run a dimension through here, so click both sides of the walls all the way through. We can do the same thing here to get our rope dimension, so pull that through. And you can go around and do that on all sides, so this one here too. Put some dimensions through here. If you accidentally click the wrong spot and you lose dimension chain, you can click on the dimension like this. Up the top here it says edit with this line, click on that, then you can keep on adding back to that same dimension row, because that'll happen every now and then when you click the wrong things. And once you finish dimensioning, you click anywhere on the screen, then you can just grab it and pull it out again, like that. Now we've got our building pretty much dimensioned. We can check all these dimensions and make sure they're not all odd, funny numbers. So it fix up our room sizes. So you generally want your room sizes to be minimum 2.8 meters wide. You may as well round this off to 2800. So click on the wall, and now you can just manually adjust these dimensions up here by clicking on it. We'll type in 2800, and that'll drag our wall into 2800 automatically. See, we got 2900 between here, that's fine. 765, leave that. Robes are usually 510 deep, so we'll click on this wall here. We can change this dimension to 510 or 530. Click enter, that'll move our robe out to the correct size. This bedroom's only 2.6 meters, so we want to make that a bit bigger. So what we do is we select all these walls. You can also click and drag and select all the walls and move them across. So we want to make this 2800 wide, so that adds an extra 135 millimeters. So type in MV, click, move across by 135. Now we've got 2800, which is what we want for the room. Okay, down here you can see it's 2865, the width of this room. We want to make that 2800 too, so click on that wall, make it 2800, click enter, and then automatically move the wall for you. Down the bottom here where that bathroom is, it's 1890. We'll better off rounding that to 1900. So click on this wall, change that to 1900, click enter. And here where we've got a little WC, we'll change that to 900. So 900 wide. And we really want, even though we made this 2800 this room, we really want it to be lining up with this WC wall. So what we'll do is we can use the align tool. So up here we've got a modify tab, click modify. Over here you'll see this little tool here, align. You can also use AL as a quick keyboard shortcut. We'll click that. Now because we want this wall here to line up with this lower wall, you click on the first wall first that you want to be the reference, so click on that wall. And then we click on this other wall, and that'll automatically line those walls up. It's made it a bit wider, but that's fine because we want those walls to line up. So now we've done all that, we can come back down here again, and where it says this little pair of sunglasses, click on that and go reset temporary height isolate, and that'll bring back our image, so you can see the image again of the sketch. So the next thing I normally do is go around and put in all the doors and windows. So up here in the Architecture tab, click Architecture, Door, and here we've already got an internal flush door selected. You can click on this drop down and pick all the different doors. So we'll leave it on the A20 internal flush door, which is what we have. Now we'll add these doors in. So the door will orientate depending on which side of the wall you have the cursor sitting. So if you sit on the external wall, it'll have the door swinging inwards, and you can push the space bar and that'll change the direction of opening the door before you click. So we want it swinging that way, so we'll have it like that, and then you click, and there you go, that'll put the door in. Do the same thing with the other doors. So we want it positioned like that, so we click, bedroom 2 door, the bathroom door, same thing, spin it the other way, click. WC door, we'll make that a smaller door, so go up here, internal flush door, to a drop down, change that to a 720 internal door, come back down here, we can do the same thing, orientate it the other way, and click, and there you go, there's our door as well. To add the robe doors in, we'll go back up to Architecture, click Door, go down here, and if you want to find a certain type of door, and you've got lots of them, you can go to the search bar here, click that, and type in, so we'll type in robe, R-O-B-E, that'll bring up our robe sliding doors. So we've already got some in here, so we'll just select the 2400 by 1600 wide mirror sliding doors, click that. Now come down to our robes, and we can just click on the wall, and that'll in the center, and that'll add our doors in for the robes, like that. And also here we've got a big linen door here which you want to put in, so we'll put a big sliding door across there, so the same thing, come back up to your door, down, drop down, type in robe again, even though you can see them, we'll just type in robe. We've got this big floor panel on here, so we'll click on that, and we can sit that in the middle of the wall, and that'll add in our big 4-panel sliding doors, that's our linen. And now we can go and add in all our windows. So it's best to, so when you're designing a house, it's best to try and use like standard window sizes and door sizes. It makes it cheaper for the builder to manufacture it. So yeah, we'll go up to our window tool here, and our Architecture tab again, click Window, come down, and for our bedrooms we'll just pick a generic 1200 by 1800 window. So in this list here you'll see window sliding fixed generic 1200 by 1800, so 1218, click on that one. We'll just drop that window in here. Generally you want to click on the outside of the wall so that the window is orientated correctly. So click on the outside of the wall here, and that'll drop it in. Go around to your other bedroom, put a window in the front here, drop that one in, and now we'll go up to our 3D view, so I'll show you where they're placed. So click up here, default 3D view, a little house, click on that, it'll bring up our 3D view. Click back onto this little cursor button, make sure we've got it selected, now we can navigate around, and we can see that our internal windows, our internal walls are the wrong height. So what you can do is you can select one of these walls, right click on it, and come down to drop down view. It'll say select all instances visible in view. Click that, and that'll select all our internal walls. If we come over to the properties panel here, we can see our top constraint says unconnected. We want that to be up to pitching height. So click on that, and click on the little drop down, and select pitching height. That'll raise our walls up to the pitching height of the roof. So click that, click apply, and you can see now all our walls have popped up to the same height as the exterior walls, which is good. Also here, you can see our windows we placed in are sitting really low down to the floor level. So click on that window, turn around, hold control, and you can click the next window as well. So we've got both our windows selected. Now back over here in the properties panel, come down to where it says, scroll down, and you come down there and see it says head height under other. So the head height is where the height you want the top of the windows to be. So we want those sitting right up at about 2100 high, so we'll type 2100 in there, click enter. That'll put our windows up that height. So we'll go back to our floor plan now. We've got a little, this pops up every now and then to prompt you to save your project, so we'll click save our project. Now you can see now the windows are actually visible on the floor plan now, because they weren't, because they were actually got placed down at ground level. Now we've moved them up, we can see them. So we'll add some other windows in around here. So go to window tool. You can play around and put whatever size windows you like in. If you want to put bigger windows in, you can. So I'll put this 2400 by 2410 sliding fixed generic window in. Click that. We'll drop one of these in here into the living area. And we'll drop another one on the front here, beside the living. The next window we'll put in is the one to the toilet here. So come back to your window tab, come down to sliding fixed generic, and because we've only got a couple of sizes here, we need to make our own window. So where it says window sliding fixed generic, click on one of these windows, and up here next to your windows, click the edit tab, the little edit type tab. What we want to do is it brings up this type properties window. So come over to the right hand side here, what we want to do is click duplicate. So click duplicate, now we can type in a new window size. So for a WC, we'd probably only want like a 900 high by 600 wide window, so we'll type in 90906. Let's just do a quick, easy abbreviation for it. Down here you'll see dimensions of the window. So the height we want to be 900 high. We change that to 900. And up here where you can see width, come across here and type in 600. And that's, we've got a 900 high by 600 high window. So come down and click OK. And that'll create a new window type at that size. Now we've created that new window, come down to here where it says WC. We can click on the external wall on the outside and drop in our WC window. If you want the window to sit in without having to go to 3D views and change it, over here where it says head height, you can drop that in at 2100 high. So we can select 2100, drop that in, and that'll put a window in at 2100 high without having to actually go select it again and increase the head height. Same thing as our bathroom. We'll just drop in another 2100. We'll drop in another window the same size here. You can do different size windows if you like, but I'll just stick one of them for now. Now we'll put in our front entry door and a sliding door over here on the side. So go to our doors tool, drop down menu, we'll go to sliding 2-panel generic. So 2100 by 1500 sliding 2-panel generic, click on that one. Drop one of these in over here, and again click the outside of the wall. For the front entry door, we'll go back to our door selection tool here, and we'll go to single door solid down the bottom here. We'll drop that in external, make sure it's orientated correctly, drop that in. Now if we go back to our 3D view at the top here, click the little 3D house button, you can see we've got most of our windows and everything placed in. This one's got 2 windows here because we placed 2 in, so we'll click the bottom one, delete that. Now all of our windows are in correct height. You can see this door, this one here sitting a bit low, this window, so we'll drop that. So these doors, head heights aren't matching the windows. That's because they're higher. So these windows are 2400 high. So what we can do is you can go up here, go edit type, and the height of the window, you can drop that down to 2100. Click OK. Same as this door, click on the door, go edit type. The height is at 2340, we'll drop that down to 2100. Click OK, down here. Now you can see all our doors and windows are all at the same head height now, except for this one. We'll do the same thing with this too. That looks like it's at 2400 high, yeah, so where it says rough height here in height, change that to 2100, go OK. Here our doors and windows are all at the same head height. So go back to our floor plan. Okay, now back on our floor plan here. what we want to do now is we're going to put in our components. So for instance, we've got our toilet here and our shower, etc., and our vanity. So to do that, go to Architecture, click on the Component tab, drop down menu here will have all the different items. So we'll type in, first we'll go to a 900 vanity, so select that. And to orientate the rotation of this, you can push the space bar and that'll move it around. So we want to stick our vanity over here against the wall, like that. Push Escape, and that'll twice, and that'll deselect it. Then go back to Component again, and we want to put in our WC. So type WC in the search bar here, and it brings up the toilet. Click that. Now, because this is, if you go up the top here, it says this little green bar. This is a face-based component, so it says place on vertical face here, but that's selected. So that means it'll place vertically on against the wall. You can see when you go near the wall, it'll snap to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to place it on the wall here, push Escape twice. Now we can select it. We can just drag it across where we want it. So we want it sitting here in between these two walls. Okay, same thing for the shower. We'll come up here again, click Component, type SHOWER. So see here we got the in situ shower base. So we'll select the 900 by 900 in situ shower base, click that. Come down here, drop it in the corner here. Push Escape twice, now we can click on it and move it around where we want it, so make sure it's sitting nicely in the corner. And if you want it to be full length, we need to edit the parameters on this window. So our bathroom, as you can see, is 1900 wide. So click on our shower, go up here in the Properties panel, the little Edit button, click on Edit. This will bring up a menu here, and we have our height, width, and our depth. So for the width, we'll make that 1900 right there. We'll rename this to 900 by 1900 shower, click OK. We go 900 by 1900 shower, we made the width 1900, click OK. And that'll extend it to 1900 wide. Now we can click on it again, pull it back in location. You can see now it's the right length, so it covers the whole room. So we've got our vanity and our shower here. So we can add our shower door too if you like. So go up to the component again up top here. Click on the drop down, type in shower, and you can see shower door 700. Click on that. We can drop our door in, shower door in, put it in the middle there. Okay, now we can do the same thing with our other stuff, so our kitchen, cabinetry, etc. So go back up to component, click on that, go to the drop down menu, type in bench. Here we have a bench top. So for this we'll just do more of a simple kitchen. We're not going to follow exactly the layout of this one. So what I'll do is I'll push the space bar to rotate it around where you want it. I'm just going to do like a straight island bench here. So drop it and push Escape twice. Now after you push Escape twice, click on the bench, and you can use these arrows to drag out the bench. So we'll grab this arrow here, we'll drag it all the way out. I probably won't drag it that far, I'll just do a smaller kitchen, so I'll drag it to here. And over here also, on the properties panel, you can see we have the depth and the width of the bench. So at the moment the width is 1965, so I'll change that to 1970 just to round it off, like that. And then for the depth I want to make it 900 deep, so 900. Then I'll make our bench 900 deep. Now we can go up to component again, and we'll have our bench top selected. Tab it around, put another bench top here. Same thing, push Escape twice, and then select the bench top. Now you can drag these out. Just drag it out a little bit like that. Now we'll put in our fridge, so push Escape twice. Come up here to where it says component. The component. The drop down menu will come down and we'll go to REF. Oh, actually, sorry, go back to FRI for fridge. See, we got a Fisher and Pipe F&P fridge 410. Click on that. Spacebar, tab it around. See our fridge here beside our bench. So go to our component tab. Go to this drop down again. We'll type in cook. At the top here we can see we got 900 built-in electric oven. We'll click that. We can push the space bar, tab it around, make sure it's the right orientation. Click it over here beside our fridge, drop it in. That's our cooktop. It's quite wide, it doesn't really suit this width bench, but it's just good enough just for our tutorial. Okay, now for our sink, click up here on component again in the architecture tab. We have our standard sink with void, make sure you have that selected. Up the top here where we've got these different options, we want to select place on face for this one. So that'll place it on top of the bench top. And we can use the space bar, tab it around. We'll place that in the center of the bench top there. We've got our sink placed, our cooktop and our fridge. Pretty much don't really need this sketch behind it anymore, so we can just delete that. Get rid of that, because we've got everything pretty much where we need it now. So now what we're going to do is put our floors in. Okay, so go back up to the floor tool like we learned earlier on, click on that. Drop down menu, we'll go down to our concrete 100mm. Concrete 100mm that we created. And up here we've got our pick walls tool, so we're going to use that one. That's pretty good because then it automatically locks the lines to the walls. So when you move the walls they'll be connected. So I click on these external walls, and so put our concrete slab under the building. You can see it automatically sitting on the outside of the stud wall. That's actually where I want it, so make sure you got it sitting at that location, and we'll push the tick. That wall's done, our floor's done I mean. So come over here, we can see it's sitting on ground level and it's 0, so that's exactly where we want it. That's good. And now we can put our wet area tiles in, so for our bathroom and our WC. So come back up to the floor tool, so we come back up to our architecture floor, go down to wet area down the bottom here, use our wall pick tool again, come down here, we want to pick these external walls, pick these internal walls like this. Now we can trim them all off, so push escape twice. Up the top here you see under the modify panel we have this trim extend corner button. Click on that button. Now we can come down and we can trim our lines that are extending past. So click on this line and this one here, and you see it trims them off. This one, trim them off. This one, trim them off together. This one. Now our lines are all trimmed. We're going to make sure our lines are sitting in the right spot. So this is sitting on the outside of the wall, we don't really want it sitting there. So we can click this little flip button. That flips it to the inside. That's good. So now we can just go up here and click finish edit mode. Over here we can see our floor sitting at ground level. I'll set 0 on. Now we've gone through and down our floors, we can go through and tag everything. So at the top here we have an annotation tab, click on that. Over here we have our multi-category tags. Lots of different ways to tag things in Revit, but I've got it set up with a multi-category tag, so we'll click on that. So come up here, click on annotate, click on the tag by category. And now we're going to tag on our windows. We don't want to have this leader here, so up here where this little green line is, untick where it says leader. Now you can tag it, so click, tag, drag the little crosshair so you can move it out a bit. Go to the next window, tag it, drag the little crosshair out a bit. Come down the next one, tag, drag it out a little bit. Just do it all the way around to all your windows and doors, having offset a little bit. For the internal doors, I don't usually tag them that way, so go through and tag your internal doors too. So the internal doors I've got it set up to tag them with just their size. So these are 820 doors, and this is a 720 door, so they'll be tagged with the size. For the external doors and windows I have numbers. For the robes, what we're going to do is we're going to go annotate multi-category tag up here. Push the space bar so we can change the orientation, click. This is labeling the robe as 24 by 600 mirror sliding doors. Do the next robe, spacebar, click, drag them out with this little button that's in front of the doors. Same as this one, spacebar, click, drag it out. So that's all the doors labelled. Now we can label our other items like our WC and our shower and our vanity, etc. So come back up to our annotate tool, click on the multi-category tag, and now we want to drop it on top of the WC, push space, drop that down. For the vanity, 900 vanity, push space, click, drag it out. For the shower, because we want to have a leader with that one, so come up here where it says a green bar again, click leader, click on the spacebar to change the orientation, but where it says attached end here, we want to change that to free end, so that way we can click on our shower here, drag it down, click again, drag it across, click again, and that'll drop our little label in so you can see the shower label. Get our leader off again, so that gets rid of the leader. Come down here and you can just drop our little label on top of the fridge, move that across a bit. So that's how you label things. It's a little bit complicated, multi-category tags, etc. So to change the tag, you can just double click on it, like that, and we want to and we can change the name of it. So at the moment it's called 900 Vanity, which is what it is, but if you want to change the name, anything, like you can just say just Vanity instead, just change it, push enter, it'll come up with you changing its type parameter, because this changes the parameter in the family, so whenever you tag this family again, it'll be that same name. So click yes, change to Vanity. The advantage of using these multi-category tags is, it just means when you have like the same family on all different pages, when you tag something, you can change the label of it on one page and it'll update on the other pages. So it's a good way to do it. Some people just use text for everything, that's kind of more of the basic way of doing it. People that are used to using AutoCAD, etc. probably like that. So at the top here where it says annotate, you can use text, and you can actually just write text on stuff, like if you want to call the room name, etc. So bedroom 2. Okay, yeah, so for all our window numbers, we can renumber all these so they start with number 1. So come down the bottom here, change this to W01, double click on them, W02, click on this one, W03, W04, just go around renaming the sequence, W05. And for our doors, the label that's being placed is the incorrect one, so click on the label, up here it says door tag, drop that down to door tag number. Do the same thing for the front door here, where it says door tag, drop down door tag number. We're going to rename this to door 01, and rename our other door to door 02. So now the windows and doors are nicely labelled. Internal doors I don't actually label with numbers usually, I just name their size. I think that's a better way of doing it. So for the purpose of this tutorial, because I'm trying to keep it fairly basic, for the rooms we're just going to use text up here. So annotate, cool, click. To go up to your annotate tab here, go across to where the text label is, click text. Over here in the properties panel, we're going to drop that down to Arial 2.50. Click on that. Now come over to your room, click on the middle of the room, and we're going to name this bedroom 1. Click again. Come over to this other room, click, name that bedroom 2. Click at the screen again to finish that. Over here we're going to come down and call this kitchen, living. Over here we'll call this dining. And then our bathroom. And then click again and we'll make WC for our water closet. Drag that down to the water closet. And generally it's best to actually use room labels, but just trying to keep it a bit more simple this tutorial, so we'll just stick with text for now for the rooms and stuff. So that's basically, so we've also got our robes here, so we'll do the same thing with the text. Type in robe. So push escape twice, and to move the text around you can click on it. For the text we can click on it, we can rotate it with this little rotate button here in the corner, hold it and move it around. We'll drag it with that little arrow tool, we'll sit that in a robe. We can push CC twice to copy it, that's a shortcut, so CC, click and drag, and that'll copy it to the next location. Click again. Same thing, push escape twice, now click on the text again. In the corner here we can click this little rotate tool and rotate it around. Now move the little drag button, move it where we want it. So now you have pretty much mostly everything basically labelled on the floor plan. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do elevations. So make sure you save the project. Now come back down here to where we've got this little reveal hidden elements tab. Click on that, the little light bulb button. This will bring back up our elevation view markers. So click on the little arrows on each side and you can see we'll drag them a bit closer, these lines. On each one, the little arrow, make sure you drag a bit closer. This one, this one. And now we can go down to our elevation tool here. Now come over to your project browser down here, scroll down. In our sheets, we want to go to our building elevation sheet down here. Double click on that. We've already got the one here that we placed in earlier, you can see that one. So what we need to do is go up here to where we have our building elevations in the project browser, click and drag the other ones in, so elevation 2, elevation 3, and elevation 4. Drag all of these in. We have to tidy these up individually, so what we do is we'll go up here to our elevation in the browser here, click on elevation 2. Now it opens up our elevation view here. So what we can do is click on one of these elevation lines, click the little checkbox beside it. This will bring up all the different type of elevations we have here. We've already created in the family, in the project I mean. So up the top here we don't need the raised roof one, so we can click on that one, click delete. That'll delete the raised roof. Okay, now click on your top pitching line here, pitching height, and you can see all these are all connected by this line here. So click on that little drag extents button here. We can drag these across to be closer to the building. Same thing on the other side. As you scroll right across here, see this little button here, click on that and pull them all the way across a bit closer to the building, so elevation's a bit neater. So go through and tidy these up on each elevation. So the next elevation, go through, do the same thing, drag these out a bit, both sides, turn your little boxes on so to give you elevation labels, turn all them on. Do the same thing for the fourth one, all elevations. Go through, tidy these up, these look alright, so just click on the little boxes on each side. And now we can, we see we don't have a roof or a slab edge, so what we'll do is we'll go back to the ground floor level, project browser, ground floor level here, double click on that. Now this is open, we'll put a roof on. So up here, go to the architecture tab, click on roof. We just got a basic roof, truss roof system selected, that's fine, we use that one. Yeah, so similar to some of the other tools, we have a lot of different ways of drawing the roof outline here. What we're going to do is we're going to select the wall tool, the pick walls tool. It's a pretty handy tool because it automatically pitches the roof correctly off the core walls. So click on that, and over here with this green lattice we can check our overhang. That's how far you want the eaves to overhang from the wall. So we'll leave that at 450 at the moment. Come down to our floor plan here and we'll select the external walls, and you can see it automatically overhangs the eaves by 450mm around the walls. Up here, okay, because we didn't select defined slopes up here before we did these lines, what we have to do is to come down here, click the modify tool up here, come down here, select all the lines like that. Over here where it says define roof slope, click this little checkbox here, and down the bottom we can pick the slope of the roof. So we want this roof slope to be a standard of 22.5, so go 22.5 in there, click apply, and this will add our roof slopes. And up here we've finished drawing a boundary, so click finish edit mode. At the moment you can see our roof sitting like in our floor level, so over the left hand side here we have our constraints, and the base level of the roof we want to put that up to the pitching height. So click pitching height, click apply. Now if we go to our elevation view here, down the bottom in our project browser, double click on our elevation, you see we now have a roof sitting there. So in the elevation now we can see we've got our roof here. You can see how we've got a bit of a line cut through the top of the roof here, doesn't look right. So over here in our properties panel elevations we have a FLAR. Scroll down, you'll see here there's a FLAR clip offset, clipping without line. Because the FLAR clip offset is set in 4.2 meters, it's kind of cutting halfway through the house. So I'm going to change that to 15,000. Click apply. That way we can see our roof properly. You can see we've already got our elevations dimmed here. The roof is like actually very high, 3.5 meters. The standard roof height would be more like 2.4 meters. So clicking our top pitching height here, we can adjust that just by clicking that and adjusting the dimension here to 2440. That'll drop our roof down to a more standard height. Now for our slab edge, what we want to do is we want to go to a 3D view, so up the top here, go to our 3D view, default 3D view, click on that. Now we're going to do what we did earlier in the previous one. So up the top here we've got the floor, select the drop hand down, go slab edge, we want to change that to slab edge brick. Now you click the slab edges all the way around. Okay, that creates our slab edges all the way around the bottom of the slab. So you can see here that our walls aren't actually extending all the way down to the slab edge here. This is a brick rebate that we can see. So what you do is we're going to select one wall, right click and go select all instances visible in view, like that. That'll select all the external brick walls. Now come over to our properties panel here, where it says base extension distance, we're going to drop that down by 240, so minus 240. That'll drop it down see on the rebate. That's pretty deep rebate. Usually it's about 160 millimeters, but you have to change the profile of the slab edge to fix that, and we'll have to run into that in more advanced tutorials, but this is just a basic tutorial, so that's what we're going to do for now. So now we have all our walls and a roof and brick edge and everything, our slab edge, you can see all that. We can go to our elevation now, elevation 1, go back there. Now generally you would want to put in a ground line, so an easy way to put a ground line is go up to the annotate panel up here, click on that, region, masking region. Now over here we want to select the box tool, the rectangular box tool, and we'll select the line style here. So this is just to choose the line style in the region. So what we're going to do is come down to a nice wide line. So find the wide line selection there, select wide lines, come down here, we want to draw our box along the pad level line. So pull it out like this, and now push the tick button to finish it. Now I have a nice ground line here, and to hide these bottom lines here, all we have to do is really come over in the properties panel, click crop view, and that'll hide our lines. So up here with the window level, we can see that that's sitting quite a bit higher than the window, so we want to click on that one. We change that back to 2100 to match the windows. There we go. So now we've got a bit of more of a proper elevation starting to show up. Same thing with we had in previous things. You can use the multi-category tags to tag things. So up the top here it says annotate. Click on multi-category. And what we want to do is click on leader again, free end. Now you can just click on a roof and you see it automatically has a label for it. That's because we've already set this up in the families. So you can pull it out to the side, custom wood sheet roof. So for this wall, we want to use a material tag. So come back up to the annotate tool. Down here it says material, click material tag. And if we click on the brickwork, drag it down and across like this, already got a tag. We see this tag actually says selected rendered to finish brickwork. At the moment we're not actually having a rendered brick wall, so what we're going to do is click on that twice, slowly like that. And now we want to change it to selected face brickwork. That'll change our label for that. For the windows we still on the elevations too, we can also tag them by going annotate tag by category and taking the leader off, obviously up here, turn that off again. We can click on the windows and that'll bring up our window labels and elevation, so it's good for reference. You can also go up here to the annotate tool, spot slope, click on that, and we go to our edge of our roof here, and this will tab through because to get 22.5, click once, drag it up, click again, and that'll give us our roof slope and the elevation. So that's just a few other things you can tag up. That's kind of a basic elevation, so we'll do the same thing on all the other elevations. Again, we can see this is cut off here, so go back to your far cliff offsets and that to like 15,000. Enter. That'll fix that up. Get our region again. At the top here, click region. Make sure we've got the wide line selected. Click the box tool. Draw a region in for the floor line. Click finish edit mode. Click again. and see how we can see the bottom lines here. So what we've got to do again is turn on our crop view. So crop view, crop region visible, click those two ones there, and you'll bring up, zoom out. This has actually come right out, so we're going to drag these all the way back in, tidy that up a bit. Okay, that'll fix that up. We can do our tags again, so annotate, tag, multi-category, add our leader back on, drag that out, go back to annotate again, go to our material tag for a brick wall, draw that out, and for the windows and that we can go back to our annotate tab and go tag by category, turn the leader off again up here, we can tag those windows and doors. So we want that to be number, so tab through, select that label, go up the door tab, we want to make that to door number because it's an external one. There you go. Same thing again, we can go up to our spot slope, click on that, tab through, click and click again, we've got our roof slope. So we go through and do all those on our elevations. These are very basic elevations, but you get the idea how to help you do it. So we can also put our dimension our, so we can also dimension our ground level and our pitching height, etc. So come up to the annotate tab, click align dimensions, now go through and dimension these, ground level up to the pitching height, ground level up to the window level. We can do the same thing on all the elevations. So now you can go through, and once you've got them done on all of the elevations, label them all up. Go down to your project browser here. We'll go down to the building elevations tab we had set up for the sheet. Double click on that. Now you can see these are all a bit better. So now we can pull these back onto the sheet here, tidy them all up. So line them up. You can put these on multiple sheets if you need to, if you've got bigger houses, etc. But for this stance, we can just fit them all on the one sheet. So you can, so yeah, now we can just select all these, and we can turn off the, go across to the properties browser, properties panel here. We can turn off all the crop regions. Now tidy that up a bit. Some of these labels are floating around the place, so click on these labels, pull them back where they need to be. Where's the label? There's one down here. Here we go, now we have our elevations done, an elevations page. Okay, now we've done our floor plans and elevations. Next we'll start setting up our site plan. So over here on your project browser, see under the floor plans view here we have a site plan. Double click on that. Here, what you can see here is the roof of our building we've created. So we'll click on that roof, double click H, and that'll hide our roof for a minute. Down here we can see we've got this showing up through the roof, so click on the plumbing sink, right click on it, go hide in view, elements. Okay, now we can come back down to the bottom here, where we've got our little temporary hide isolate button, like little sunglasses. Click on that and go reset temporary hide isolate, so that'll re-show up what we just did with that command. Click on that so the roof shows back up again. Okay, now most of the time when you're doing a site plan, you'll either have like a survey, a contour survey, or you'll have like a disclosure plan or something like that to show you the boundaries of the site that you're building the dwelling on. So here's an example of a disclosure plan looks like. See here we've got the proposed lot, and we've got the boundary, dimensions and coordinates, etc. And you can also see some contour lines on here. So we're just going to use this as an example and set this up. So I'll include this in the project file so you can have a look at it. I'll move it over here for now. You can open up on your screen so you can see what we're doing here, but I'll move this over to the other side. Okay, to start drawing these boundaries for your site, what we'll do is we'll go up to the massing and site tab up here, click on that, and then across here to the right here where it says modify site, you see property line. If you've only got the basic version of Revit, yours will just be called site, not massing and site. But yeah, come over here to the property line, click on that, And now we go down here and click create by entering distance and bearings. And now in this area here, what you do is you go through and put all the distance and bearing of each boundary just shown on the disclosure plan. So our first one is 43,757. So 43,757 is the distance, and the bearing is 259 degrees, 39, 30. Okay, now we want to go down and click insert to insert the next line. And usually you want to, when you're doing these, normally you go in a clockwise direction around the site. So our next boundary on a clockwise direction is 13,356. 13,356. The bearing is 349 degrees, 39. Okay, we'll go insert again for the next one. 6,853, so 6,853. 339, 30. So the next one, 44,589, so 4,589, 79, 39 and 30. 79, 39, 30. So again, 20,018, 20,018. Sorry, 20,018. 167, 14, 15. 167, 14, 15. Okay, that should complete the full boundary, so they should all link up if I go OK. See here we've got our full site here. So we can drop that in. Okay, over here on the left hand side, we come down, we've got a view template. Currently our view template is site plan, so click on that. It brings up a new little template dialog here, which we control the view properties in. So down here, scroll down a bit, you'll see orientation is project north. You really want that to be true north when you're on the site plan, depending on how your workflow is, but I normally have that as true north, so click true north, OK. What that'll do is it'll align the boundaries properly in a north orientation. So north is directly up on the page in relationship to the boundaries. So to get this into orientate correctly, you come down here and we can click on the little reveal hidden elements tab. Click on that, and this will bring up what's hidden here, and you can see this little circle with two arrows coming off it. Tab through until you click on that, and it'll bring up these project based measurements. And what we do is we're going to change the angle to true north here. So we'll change that back to 0 and zoom out a bit. You can see we're a bit closer now. But what we're going to do is measure the angle from this boundary here, so you can be parallel to that boundary. So to do that, we go up here with the annotate tool, we go angular, the angular tool up here in the annotate tab, click on that. We click on the side of this roof here, and click on the boundary. You can see that it's 10 degrees difference. So when we come down here, we can tab through and click onto this again. Angle to true north. We make that 350 degrees. That should line it up because it's 10 degrees off 360. We can see our boundaries lined up now. So we can move that back over here. You can see the boundaries more lined up. It's still not perfectly aligned here, the boundary, as you can see. So what we're going to do is we put a dimension on. So angular dimension again, from here to here. And now we can select this dimension, go up to here where it says edit, up to the properties panel, click edit, come down, and when we want to go to the primary units, click on this tab here, primary units, click on the little grey button here under value. Instead of changing to 0 decimal places, we want to have it to 3 decimal places. Click OK, come back down, click OK, and this says 0.342 degrees difference. So what we want to do now is go back down to our reveal hidden elements. So we want to make this 349.658 because it's 0.342 different. Okay, now that should be exactly aligned now. So we go up here, we go aligned. Yep, perfectly aligned. Okay, now we can put dimensions from the edge of the building, the eaves here, to the boundaries. So to do that, come to the annotate tool, click align dimension, click on each side to each boundary. Because that's not aligned to the rear boundary, you can't directly dimension it from the flat like that. So what you need to do is click on the rear boundary first, and then tab through and click on the corners of the building. So now you can see we've got a dimension there. This side's aligned, so this should be fine. Any boundaries that aren't aligned, like that one's not aligned, so what we need to do is start on the boundary, and then you can click on the corner of the dwelling. And usually you want to be dimensioned to the closest corner to the boundary. That's how you add dimensions. You can also click on these dimensions, and over here in the properties panel, drop that down. You can choose a different dimension style. We'll choose site plan, so that way it gives us a bigger dimension, easier to read. Okay, now we've got this aligned. What we're going to do here is offset the front boundary so we can see where our curved line is. So click annotate tab, click detail line, select 0.25 pen, the line tool. Select the pick lines tool here, come across the offset, we want to make that 4200. Now we want to select this line here, this other line here, and offset it by 4200. Now we can put the street name. So to do that we can just use the text command up here on annotate to click here and type in whatever street name you want to call it. We'll just call it Commander. Commander Court. You can click on that, make it a bigger text. Click on the text, come up here in the properties panel, drop that down, make it a size 4 or a size 6, what looks good. And now we can rotate it around like this. We'll have our street name with the dwelling showing here and dimensions to the boundary. To put the boundary coordinates on, go up here to annotate, click tag by category, and we can just click on the boundaries, and it'll automatically put on the angles and the distances of those boundaries. Yeah, so that's how to do a very basic site plan. I plan to go more into detail on these in more advanced tutorials. This is going to give you a basic idea and it should get you through doing basic site plans that you need to do. Okay, we're now going to run through how to set up 3D views. So we're on our ground floor plan here at the moment. Come over to this project browser on the left hand side and you'll see there's a little tab here with says 3D views. Double click on that, on the 3D. That's another way basically to get to your main 3D view. But you can also click that button at the top there, the little default 3D view button. Okay, now make sure you're on the view tab up here on the ribbon. And down here you'll see a little 3D view box here. Click the drop down on that one and click on camera. Now you can zoom out a bit with just using the scroll. Navigate around a bit. Click over here in the left hand bottom side here. Click, and then as you drag out you'll see these little lines coming off it. That's the direction of the camera. It's going to be pointing. So what we're going to do is kind of have it pointing towards the house like this. So the cursor is pretty much on the house, and click again. That'll open us up a 3D view pointing towards the house like this. Over the left hand side here you see it's created a 3D view, another one called 3D view 1. We can leave it at that for now, we'll just leave it called that, but you can come up here in the properties panel, scroll down, and where it says view name, you can change the name of it there, or you can also just click on here and change the name down here in the project browser. You can call it whatever you like. Go back up again to your 3D view, so just click this button here at the top here, or you can click the one down here to your default 3D view down the project browser. So double click on that. Do the same thing again with another camera. So up here, make sure you're on the view panel, and then go 3D view drop down, click camera, come over the other side this time, click here, point towards the house, click again. There's this second 3D view. And if you come back into the project browser, you can see it's created another 3D view here. That's 3D view 2. Again, you can rename that to whatever you like. Okay, now we're going to drop these 3D views onto our sheet, 3D view sheet. So come down to your project browser, scroll all the way down. You see we have a sheet called 3D views, WD10. Double click on that. That'll open our sheet. Now we can scroll back up on the project browser. And under our 3D views, we just created 3D view 1, 3D view 2. Click and drag on the 3D view 1, pull it across and drop it on the sheet. Do the same thing with 3D 2. Click and drag, drop it onto the sheet. Now you have our two 3D views. Double click in this 3D view 1 viewport, double click in. Come over here to your little full navigation wheel over the right hand side. Click on that, like that. Bring it out. Now we can use this to navigate around in our 3D view we just created. So the orbit tool, so we can use the orbit tool to orbit around the view to where we like it. Then we can use the pan tool down the bottom to bring it up into this more center in view. And the zoom tool up top here, click on that and push in and out to zoom in. We can use the pan tool to recenter it. And again, zoom in a bit more, pan again. Just move it around till you got a view where you like it. Now once you've finished using this navigation wheel, there's a little cross in the corner here. Click that little cross, and that'll get rid of it. And it's a good idea to lock your views in place so that they don't move around accidentally. Because sometimes Revit, when you close a file down and open it again, the view will have moved around for some reason. So come down the bottom here, on this little bar down the bottom, you'll see there's a little house icon with a lock on it. Click on that, and you can go save orientation and lock view. And that'll lock that view in place so it can't be moved. Okay, do the same thing in this other one, our 3D view. We'll come up to our full navigation wheel again. Click on that. Pan around and orbit, etc. Till you get the desired view you like. Zoom in. Pan that back up. You can also, where it says center here, you can click and hold that button and you have this little ball. You can drag it onto your house here and that'll center the orbit around your house. When you move around, it'll be centered on the house. And then we can zoom in, pan again till you get the view where you like it. Push this little cross again to get out. And then come down again to the bottom here and where this little house is, and you can lock your view again. So click on that, save orientation and lock view. Now I've got two 3D views completed. So in these 3D views you can also change the way they look. For instance, if it's coloured, put shadows on, stuff like that. So come down the bottom here, this little tab down the bottom. You'll see this little box on the left hand side here, visual style, hidden line. Click on that, that'll bring down a little menu of different styles. So you can go wireframe, etc. and that'll make it a fully see-through wireframe. Come back down. Change to hidden line. That's what we had before, so that's hidden line. So hidden lines are what I normally use to present to clients because it doesn't have colours on it and it looks pretty good. I feel it's like better if not showing colours all the time unless you're actually picking the colours for your client. Otherwise they can sort of go like, oh, why is it that colour? You know, but it's actually, you got to explain to them it's not actually the colour they're going to have when they build it. But yeah, if you come down here you can go shaded and that adds the colours to the building. Or consistent colours. We can also have realistic. So there's different options of depending how you want your 3D views to look. But I usually just do hidden line. You can also turn shadows on and off down here. So here you'll see this little button, this little blue circle with a cross on it. The moment it says shadows off, so you click on that and that'll turn the shadows on. There's another button here, it says hide crop region. Click on that and that'll hide our crop region around the 3D view. A lot of time I just leave that on because you can actually control that with the print settings too. You can actually turn that off so it doesn't print. Okay, we have more control over our shadows and stuff over here in our properties panel. So if we go to this item here, it says graphics display options under the graphics panel. Click edit. And this will bring our little option panel up here. So we can change the model style again here, like we did before. We'll leave it as hidden line at the moment. We control things like transparency, silhouettes. We have more control of our shadows. We go here. You can also show ambient shadows. Click that on and click apply. You see very subtly there, it adds a few more shadows to the drawing. So we'll untick that for now. So sketchy lines is good if you want to make it a bit more look like a sketch. So it's good for like presentations to clients. So you turn that on. Extension kind of extends each line to make it a bit more sketchy. So click apply. You see how I added these little extensions on the line, so it makes it look like it's hand sketched. And jitter kind of makes the lines a bit wavy. So like that, you can see how it just makes it a bit more like it's hand drawn. I usually don't like jitter too high, I like to keep that pretty low. Like 1 or even turn that off a lot of the time, just have sketchy lines on. I think it looks better. Come down to depth queuing here. That doesn't work in 3D views, but you can use that in like your 2D elevations, etc. It's good for like defining the depth in the elevation, so it kind of fades away the rear of the building when it's further away. I'll run into more setting that up in other tutorials. Down here we have our lighting tab. So the one I normally use the most here is the shadow brightness. So we turn that right down, click apply, you see our shadows become a lot lighter. So I generally have my shadows about 24, usually 24, 25, because I think that's a good level of brightness for the shadows, because you don't want them too dark because it doesn't look very nice. See that? Too much contrast. So when we have them about 24, 25, I think that's a pretty good level. Then we have this last option down here, we have background. So we can use this to put like different backgrounds on a 3D image. So for instance, you click sky, click apply, and that'll throw like a background with a sky on it. In here you can choose the ground color, so you can change that to whatever you want. So if you want a green ground color or something like that, click OK, and click apply, and then we go to green on a foreground color. We can do a gradient too, and you can control the sky color, horizon color, and the ground color. Click apply. I quite like using this one for 3D views, but what I do is the ground color I just make it white. So that gives us just like a bit of a sky behind it. That's one I quite often use. You can also put images behind it. So you can select your own image and that'll project it behind the view here. So we'll turn that back to none for now. Click apply. Click OK. So that's just a quick run through of some of the ways you can change the look of your 3D views. So you can play around with that until you find something you like. So play around all those different settings. Now we're going to run through how to set up internal elevations. There's different ways of doing it, but this is the way I like to do it. So make sure you're back on the ground floor plan. You're in the project browser here, ground floor plan. Earlier on we created the property boundary, so I just want to hide that. You can see it's in the view here. Click on that, right click, go hide in view, elements, and that'll hide it out of the view. Yeah, here we go. So up the top here, on your ribbon, you'll have a view tab. Click on that, and then click on this call out button. Click on that. And then what we're going to do is make sure you have it on floor plan. So there's a detail over here on the properties panel. We have a detail view and a floor plan. Make sure you got floor plan selected over here. And then come over, and what we want to do is we want to drag a box around the different areas we want to create internals for. So click and drag around the bathroom. Come back at the top, click call out again. Drag a box around the kitchen area. Come at the top here, click the call out button again, and run around the WC. Like that. Okay, now we can click on the edge of these little dashed lines here. We can pull these little labels around where we want them to make them clear, so do that for each one. Click click on here and you'll see there's a little blue dot next to the label. Click on that and you can drag around where you want these to be positioned. Do that for all three. Click on that, drag this little box around here you want them. Okay, now we can rename these. So click on the first one, the kitchen. What we want to do, come over here, click edit type. We'll open up this little dialog top properties box. Over here where it says duplicate, click duplicate and we'll type in internals. And this will duplicate this, so this creates a duplicate floor plan type called internals. So you come over here into the properties browser, project browser I mean, you come down, you'll see floor plan internals here. So come over here, click on the other ones we created and drop them down, put them on internals as well. Make sure they're all internals. Now when you select the properties type as for internals on these, it'll put them underneath the internals category over here in our project browser. So now you see there's 3 listed under here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rename these. So click on the first one, your kitchen one, come over into your properties panel, scroll down and you'll see here it says view name. We can change that to kitchen floor plan. Now if you look over here in your project browser, you'll see it's been renamed to kitchen floor plan. We're going to do the same thing with the other one. So click on the next one, WC, come over here to view name, change it to WC floor plan, enter, and also for this bathroom one, bathroom floor plan. So now they're all being renamed, and you come over here under your floor plan internal section, you'll see there's 3 views down here that have been created. Now we've done that, we can actually hide these in the floor plan, depending on how you like to do it. Some people leave these here because they like to be able to see where the views are, but that can be handy on really big projects, I guess, so you can kind of see what's referencing. But most of the time you can just hide these in view, so select all 3 of them by holding control. You'll see a little plus sign behind the cursor. You can select each one, that's all 3 selected. Now right click on these and go hide and view elements. Now all 3 of those will be hidden. Now what we want to do is come over to project browser here, go down, and on these sheets we don't have a sheet, oh we do actually. So go down and you'll see down WD11 we have an internals page, internal sheet, so double click on that. This will bring out a sheet for our internals. So now we're going to scroll back up the top here, and these 3 internal plans we've created. So we'll start with the kitchen one, click on that, click and hold and drag it out onto this sheet here. Do the same for the bathroom one, click, hold, drag, drop it here, and one more for the WC. So pull them over left hand side here, being able to see them here. What you can also do is you can double click on this crop boundary here and you can adjust it in the view here so you can have it a little bit tighter. So you can do that for all 3. Double click on this little crop boundary, that means you can edit it. Now you can move it around, have it right up against the walls just to make it look a bit neater if you like. Move these little marks around, then up the top when you're done you click finish edit mode. Do that for all 3, just tidy these up. Drag these nice and close to the edge of the walls. Now push finish edit mode, and all 3 of these are tidied up. Now to create some internal elevation views for these, we'll start off with the kitchen. So double click into the viewport. Up the top here under your view tab, make sure you have that selected, you'll see elevation. What we want to do is click that drop down, click elevation. Over here you'll see under the properties panel we have this little drop down. What we want to do is click edit type, and again we want to duplicate this. Click duplicate and name this kitchen. and push OK. And then down here click OK again down the bottom of your panel. And this will create another title under elevation for kitchen. Okay, now we've done that, we want to come over here and drop it in the middle of our floor plan here. So I click the middle, and then click the ring on the outside of this box here. What we want to do is add another elevation for each side. So we want one facing this fridge and bench here. So click this little box. Yeah, this will add another view on this side. Do the same thing with the other one. So you added one to each side you want it to be showing in an elevation. So click this one too, and that'll give us an elevation facing this bench. Okay, now come over here to your project browser again. And if you come down, you see we've now got an elevations tab here with kitchen logo next to it. So click the little plus beside that. This is the 3 elevations we just created. So we can click and drag. Make sure you're no longer in this viewport here, so you double click out of it like that. And then come over here and click and drag these elevations over onto the sheet. 1, 2, 3. Now you can resize these a couple of different ways. You can do it by double clicking this floor plan here, clicking on that view, that little arrow, and you can see this line is being created. So you can drag these blue dots in, and that'll bring the elevation in to where you want it. So you want to have it just past this bench here, and the other side too. You can grab this blue dot, drag that out outside of the wall if you want to show the wall in the elevation. So you can do that for all 3 of these elevations here. So this one as well, drag that into where you want it. Same as this one here, so it's coming out way down here. We want to bring that right in just past that bench, like that. And now double click out of the view again. And you can see this made our elevations a lot smaller and more manageable. So I'm going to pull these tiles back where they need to be. See so? It is better to do that before you drag them across, but just giving you an example of how it works. Okay, you can also double click on these individual elevations and you'll highlight the crop boundary on these, so you can see the crop boundary. Double click on that. And this enables you to adjust where the boundary is showing on these internal elevations. So I would normally drag this up so it's not showing the floor, so drag it up to the floor level. On the top, usually have it sitting on pitching height, so make sure it's sitting on the pitching height. And then click the finish edit mode. You do the same for all 3 of these. That one's done. Next one. All done. Okay, now we've got 3 elevations set up. Okay, now we're going to do the same for these other 2. So come down here into your WC, double click on that. Come up here, it says elevation, click on that. And again, we have to click to the edit type button on the properties thing here. Edit type. Click up on duplicate up on the right hand side here. And type in WC. And click OK. And click OK again down here. And now I've got our elevation view set up for WC. So come down here, click WC on there. Now do it for all 4 sides again. So click on this circle, all 4 sides. So create an elevation for all 4 sides here. Again, we can drag out our views here before we drop them in. It's a better way to do it. So click on each one of these arrows and drag the little blue lines out to each side of the walls. Like I have done here. We've got all those 4 done. We can come over here again, and you see we've got another tab that's been created called WC, elevation WC. So we can click that drop down. Make sure we're not selected in the view, so double click over here. And then the elevations, we can drag those across now. Drag across our 4 elevations. And you see by adjusting these little blue lines that they extents of the elevations before you drop new ones in, it makes it a lot easier. So they're more tidy when you drop them in. So the labels are a bit better positioned, etc. We'll do the same again for our last one here, which is a bathroom. So click elevations again. In the properties panel, click edit type. Up here, click duplicate. And we'll type in bathroom. Okay. Okay again. Now do the same thing. Drop your little elevation marker in. Add one tab through until you can click this circle, and add one for each side. These 4 boxes. And again, we'll go through and adjust all these. Each one. Now push escape, and then double click over here, make sure you're not in the view. And over here in our elevation here, you'll see we have another one up here, elevations bathroom. So we can click on that. And again, drag all 4 of these out. Okay, we'll just move these across so we can fit them all in. They all fit in. Okay, so we've got all our elevations created for our 3 floor plan views here. What we want to do is go into each one of these and hide these other elevation markers that have shown up because the other plans are right next to each other. So you can click on these, holding the control button, make sure you got it all selected. Now right click and go hide in view elements. Do the same thing for these other ones. So double click in here. You can also drag a box around them like this, and I'll select them all at once. You can go right click, hide in view, elements. Same for this bottom one. Just do control on this one, so hold control, select all 3, right click, hide in view, elements. We've got them all tidied up. You can see up in this top one here, an elevation tool, you've got the window showing behind. That can create a bit of confusion. So what you can do in here is double click into this view here, click on this, and you'll see this line way over here, these double arrows on it. That's to do with your over here on the left hand side, you see we have a file cliff offset. That's what that is. So you can click and drag that all the way back in. That kind of just stops. So what that does is controls how far you actually can see in the elevation. So now you can't see that window anymore because we've dragged that line back. Over here in our properties view, you can turn that off if you like. So you turn that off, and it'll just be like unlimited. So you'll see what is behind it. But we'll leave that on for now. And see, it's gone back at 2 meters now. You can actually change it in here too by distance. So you can type 2,000. That'll make it exactly 2,000. So that's just how you control the depth of the elevation. So what you can see in it. So what we'll do now is we'll double click in this elevation here, and we'll add some more cupboards in below this sink here. So we go up to architecture, click component, this drop down box. What you can do is click that and then type in search. We'll type in 2-door. And here we go, our 2-door cupboard, 2-door instance cupboard. So click on that, come back over to view here, and we can push the space bar to change the direction of this before we drop it in. So we'll make sure the handles are facing this way. We'll drop it on the edge of the cupboard here, like that. Then push escape twice. Now we go back into our internal view here, so you can see we've got a cupboard here. So double click into that, mirroring this to elevation view. Use our move command, so MV, or up here you can click move as well. I see beside it says MV, so click MV. Now you can click the corner of your cupboard, move it right over to the side here, drop it in. Now you can copy that across, so push CC for copy. Or you can also push this button up here, just copy. Click this corner, copy it across twice. We have our 3 cupboards. You can see this sink here is quite wide, so we need to just move this across to the center by using the arrow key. So if you click on an item, you can also just use the arrow keys to move it left and right, etc. We'll make this middle cupboard wider so the sink fits in it. So these cupboards you can just drag the width of them out using these arrows here. Another thing you can do, if you want, say, this cupboard to line up with the edge of this bench, use AL, which is the align tool. You can click this edge of the bench here, and click this, and it will bring it out to line up. We now get our 3 cupboards, and it sinks it in the middle. To hide lines, like for instance, see down here, we've got these lines extending through. Come up to the modify panel up here, so modify, click that, and then we click this line tool here, line work tool. This is a really handy tool for hiding lines or making them look how you want it to look. So click that. See up here we've got different line styles. We can choose what we want the line to be. So we'll choose invisible lines, and then we can click on these lines, double click on them, and it makes them invisible so you can't see them. That's a very handy tool to use. So we'll do the same thing with this over here. We'll click on this oven. We'll use the move tool again, so MV. We want to drag this point down here to sit on top of the bench top, like that. And we've got our oven sitting there. So usually, because it's such a narrow bench, you'd use a smaller oven, etc. But for this circumstance, we'll just leave it as is. I'll show you another way. We could also use a very small cupboard family, and make it a one-door cupboard, or you can also draw things in with lines if you like. So we'll push DL, that will bring up our draw line tool, or you can also go up to the annotate tab up here and push detail line, click that button there, it does the same thing. Now we can come over and select our line. So what we do is we come over and select the 0.1 pen over here where the line style is, click on that. We draw these cupboards in with lines. So click on the edge of this, draw a line all the way down to the floor. Same thing from the edge of this oven out to these sides. Now we kind of filled that in, so it's kind of like just having an infill panel around your oven. We'll get our fridge here. As well, to label these items, you can use our multi-category tag. So we go annotate, multi-category, come down, make sure you turn the leader off up here, turn that off. We can tag fridge space, etc. We click on this, and this at the moment says question mark, that's because nothing's being labelled. So we can click on that edit parameter there, and we can type in oven, click enter, that labels that item. We can also use text as well, so up here on the annotate tab, there's a text button here, click on that, and we can label stuff using that, so we can type in cooktop, etc. Click enter. I don't need to click enter, actually just click out of it like that. Now we can change just up here what sort of text you want to use. So if you want to use smaller text on this properties panel, drop it down to 1.8 Arial, drag that down, sit it above the cooktop. So there's our internal elevations done for the kitchen. Now what we can do is we can dimension them. So up in the annotate tab, over here we'll have our align dimension tool, click on that. And come back here, you can click on the floor level reference line, and then the top of the bench top, and drag it out, that's our dimension. Do the same thing for the width, and then again for fridge space. You can see these aren't these are odd numbers, these dimensions. So what you can do is you can click on, if you want to just change these, click on say the bench top, and you type in what you want this to be. So if you want it to be 1180, so L1180, and that'll just automatically bring the bench down. I'll change that to 1180. Now what we can do is we can drag these lines, make sure they're against the wall. This one here, we can move this line across by using the move tool. And there you go, now you have even dimensions. You can do the same thing with all your other internals. So double click in this view here, come up here to the align dimension tool again under annotate, click the top of your bench top, and then the floor line. You can also individually do your cupboards like that. That's basically like a very basic internal elevation for the kitchen. Go down here, come down to our, okay, now we're done with our kitchen, we'll come down to our WC floor plan here. So we'll click into one of our elevations here, and again we can use our tag tool, so annotate at the top here, multi-category tag, click on the toilet and you'll see we automatically have a WC label, so we can drag that down. again, you can use text. There's lots of different ways you can label things. You'll kind of get better at using that as your time goes on. You'll get your head around a bit more. But trying to keep this kind of tutorial a bit basic, so you don't get too overwhelmed. So there's two different ways that you can put tile. Well, there's actually not more two different ways, but two ways I most commonly put tiles on walls is using either a wall sweep or a split face. I think wall sweeps are better. So to use wall sweep, at the top here it says architecture, click on that, and then come across to the wall tool. There's a little drop down below that. Come down and see wall sweep. And here we have a drop down box with different wall sweeps. At the moment we've only got one here, which is brick seal. Now let's go edit type, duplicate, and we'll type in skirting tiles. Push OK. Now this is how we create our wall sweeps. So what you need to do is you actually need to choose a profile for this wall sweep. So this will kind of dictate the side profile of the tiles, so to do with the height and the thickness, etc. So I've already got some in the family here you can use. So if you click this drop down box on the right hand side here, see we've got all those different profiles. So what we're going to do is pick 100mm skirting tiles. And for the material here, we want it to have a tile pattern. So what we do is open this up, come down to finish tiles. So we'll type in tiles, the search box here for materials, and we'll do finish tiles for 400. Click OK. Come back down here and click OK. Now that's done. Now you'll see when you highlight the cursor over the wall, you see that there'll be like a wall sweep you can drag up and down. So we want to have that sitting on the floor because they're skirting tiles. So click the bottom of the floor there. Now click again up here, and see it drops in our skirting tiles. And what we want to do is click on that skirting tile, make sure up here it says properties, edit type, we want it to be cut by inserts. Make sure we click that, click OK, and then we can drag, same as you do in other families, you got this little blue item to drag this tent, so make sure you drag that in so it's sitting within this wall area here. So there's one row of tiles done, so we'll do the same thing for this other view, so double click on this one. Now again, architecture, wall sweep. Do the same thing again, drop that on the bottom of the wall here. Click on your wall sweep again, and make sure we zoom out. See all these blue lines, these blue dots here, we want to drag them into each side of the wall. So drag them in. That just controls the extent of the tile, so you see we drag it in there. So drag it against each wall. Do the same thing for other elevations, so wall sweep again, drop that in, click on it. You see that one's already at the right spot, so I don't have to worry about that one. We can do the same thing with this one, even though there's not much space beside it, you can still drop it in. And make sure that's only, yep. That's how you do your tiles. Same thing with these other ones, we can label these, so click annotate, multi-category tag, WC, escape, go back in this one too, same thing, annotate, multi-category tag, drop a tag on that, escape twice. Now you can come down to this other bathroom elevation, and with this one you can see on this elevation here, number 11, left hand side we have a shower here. What we want to do is double click in this view, add another wall sweep, architecture, wall sweep. We want to go edit type again, duplicate, and call it shower tiles. Click OK. And then in this profile section here we want to choose the drop down, we want to choose shower tiles. So come down, shower tiles, click OK. And now we can drop in this right against the floor. And you see we've got these high tiles here. So click on the sweep, zoom out, you'll see we've got this blue marker here, drag that in to the edge of the shower, which is 900 wide. Now we got a 900 wide shower tile, so we can do again the wall sweep, so wall sweep, I'm going to choose our skirting tile again now in this drop down menu, skirting tiles. Drop that in, pull this blue lines across. So we've got a shower tiles here and a skirting tile. And same thing, we can dimension these now. So up here it says annotate, click on that. The align tool. Now we can click on the floor, the top of the shower tiles. Again, on the vanity. So dimensioning the floor to the top of the vanity, then the tiles, and then the mirror. Drag that out like that. And again on the width, so we want to measure the width of the tiles, the width of the vanity, and again to the wall. That's very simple dimensioning. So you can go through and do that on any elevations, play around with that. So that's how you do the wall sweeps and add your tiles, your dimensioning. We've gone through labeling, so we've covered most of the stuff you need to know. Also, what we can do is add some. So we go up to the top here, it says architecture. Double click in this floor plan view of the bathroom. Up here it says architecture, click on that. In the component model, click that. Now we can drop down here and go to mixer. Type in mixer, and you see we've got a shower mixer here, so click on that. Down this elevation here, we want to add our shower mixer in, so highlight it against the wall you want to drop it in, because this is a wall-based family, so let's see it as our mixer in. Same thing, go back to this drop-down menu. Now we can go to rail, type in rail. This will bring up our shower rail. Same thing again, we can click it against the wall, and that'll drop in our shower rail. Now if we go back to this internal elevation now, where we drew these tiles, you can see we now have the shower rail and the mixer showing. That's how you drop in components like that. We'll do the same thing with our tower rail. So come back in here, drop into this view. Up here, architecture tab, click component, drop down menu, type in tower rail. And you see it comes up with a double tower rail. So click on that. And again, once you move it next to the wall, you'll see it'll snap to the wall. I mean, once you get it where you want it, just click and that'll place it in the view. And come across here, you can see it's now in our view. So we can dimension this and tag it like that. Tag tower rail. So that should give you a pretty good idea on how to set up your internals. I won't go through and fully complete these, because you can play around with this and detail it as much as you like. So that should give you a very good idea on how to complete these. So on your own project you can spend more time doing it, playing with the different components, etc. like that. Okay, now we've gone through most of that. We can also rename all these individual views here. So if you click on this one, for instance, come over the left hand side here, into your properties panel and scroll down, you'll see view name. So what you can do is you can just call it kitchen. What I like to do is call it kitchen, because that's the view it's based on. Dash A, that's the first kitchen view. Let's go to the next one, we'll do the same thing, scroll down, kitchen dash B. The next one, click on that, come back to your properties panel, drop down to where it says view name, kitchen / C, enter. And then also what you want to do is have these numbers in here you want to be corresponding to views, because we've called this kitchen A. So click on that one, go to the top here, and where it says detail number you want to call that A. And you can see in here change that to A. Just a good way of so people can identify which view it's relating to. Same thing with kitchen B, click on that one. Over here it says detail number, change that to B. Do it again for this last one, so kitchen C, detail number C. Now you see in our view it's called A, B and C. So people can look at that and they can see which view it's relating to. So you can come down and do that to all these other ones too. So WC we'll call this one, so view name down here, WC. Up the top we can go up and call that D. So down here on WC/D. And now see we've got A, B, C, D, WCD, and this is D here, corresponding to this view. So you can go through and do that in all of your elevations. and that makes it a lot easier to identify. You can also create special labels for these that do this automatically for you, but I'm just trying to keep this more basic, and we'll go through that more in more advanced tutorials. Okay, in this section we're going to run through how to do a slab and plumbing plan. So make sure you're down here in your property browser, click on your slab and plumbing plan sheet. Zoom out a bit, and up here you'll see we've got our view port. Grab that, drag it down to the middle of this page here. Zoom out a bit, come and grab your label, bring that back up here onto the sheet. Zoom in a bit. Now you can double click into this viewport. At the moment all you can see is the plumbing fixtures. So there's a couple of different ways you can do, well there's actually many different ways you can do a slab plan, but I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. So there's one way you can do it is you actually show the actual slab with 3D model of the slab in the viewport. So to do this, come up here in the properties panel, scroll down, and where it says view template, because we're currently using a view template on this one, we have a concrete set out view template. So click on that. Over here in the view properties section, under here, click beside VG overrides model, click on edit, scroll down, and the moment underneath visibility here we have floors, and you can see that checkbox isn't checked. That means that's not showing in this view at the moment. The floors are hidden. So click on that, come down here, click OK, click OK again here, and that'll bring up our floors. You can see here. So what we can see at the moment is we can see the outer edge here is a slab edge, and this is our main slab. It's a very simple slab, this one, just a very simple basic square. Because it's such a simple slab, what we can do here is we'll just override these internal lines here to show where the brick rebate is. So come up to the modify tab here, click modify, and then click on this little button here for line work, and then we can choose a dashed 0.25 pen here, get this drop down. Now we can just click on the internal lines here. This is like this, the actual main slab edge. Click on all four of these a couple of times. That's to show us where the actual brick rebate starts. Okay, now we've got our slab basically set up, we can dimension it. So up here, click on the annotate tab, go to our dimension, align dimension. We can dimension the outside of the slab. Do it on all four sides. That's our very basic slab. Now down here we can see we've got a shower rail showing up. I'll hide that in view, so click on it, right click, hide in view elements. Also down here we want to dimension where our plumbing points are. So depending on the families you got, whether they have proper center points, etc., what you can do is put a little penetration mark, where the penetrations will be coming through the slab. So go to annotate tab up here, and over the right hand side here you can see symbol. Click on that. Come down here and go to penetration mark. So just type in pen. Come down to penetration mark 2, this one. Okay, then we can click in the center of where the penetrations will be coming up on each of these plumbing fixtures. So center of the shower, the toilet, and here in the sink. Now we can dimension all these too. So you can just click DI for the keyboard shortcut to dimension these. Dimension from the outside of the slab to the middle of your plumbing fixtures. Go through and dimension all these properly. Okay, go through and dimension all those. Now you can drag these leader lines out a bit. So you click on the dimension, click on this little edge of the leader line, you can drag that out. Just makes it easier to indicate where the dimension is referring to. So you can drag these out a bit. Drag this in a bit here, drag this leader line out. You can also label these dimensions by double clicking on the dimension like that, and it brings up this little box here. To put a label above the dimension, you type in this box. To put it before the dimension, this box. To put it after the dimension, you can use this box, and below the dimension, this one. So we use it after the dimension. So click here, this, and we can type in vanity. That'll give us a little label beside the dimension. This one as well, do the same thing again. Type in shower, SHR. So you can go around and label these dimensions, so just to make it clear what they're actually dimensioning. WC, sink. So there's a very basic slab plan. Another way you can do it, instead of actually showing the actual 3D model of these floors, what we can do is just hide these in view. It's a quick way to show you how to do it. Hide all these in the view. See, our dimensions are all gone. That's because we dimensioned to the actual 3D object there, but we can also do it with lines. So if you click this little reveal hidden elements tab down here, this will bring up all our walls and everything. So now we can just go to annotate detail line up here, annotate tab detail line, choose the 0.25 pen. Normally I'd take chain off so you can snap to the wall. So this little green section here, untick chain, come down here. Now we can click the outside of our walls and lock them like this. Click the little lock button here once you've dropped it. And that'll lock it to the outside of the wall. So when you move the walls, it'll also move these lines on the slab. So go all the way around to our 4 walls. Come up here again, choose a dash pen. So come down to the dash 0.25 pen. We want to select the outside of the internal frame. That's where the main slab will be. So the outside internal frame is here. Come all the way along. Lock that again onto there, come down here. Lock that again. Lock that again. Lock. Now we can unhide down here. Click this button again. There we go, and you basically got the same thing. The advantage of doing it with lines is sometimes when you got a more complex slab, it can be hard to get it show it how you exactly want by using the 3D models. So if you use the lines, it's easy to get the slab to show exactly how you want it. So that's why I try to show you this way as well. Same thing, you can go around dimension this the same as we did before. But yeah, it's just to show you a couple of different ways you can do it. There's obviously other ways you can do it too, but this is the main 2 ways I normally use. Okay, now in this section we're going to run through how to set up sections. So come over here to your project browser, make sure you're on the floor plan, double click on that. Come over here, double click in your floor plan viewport, so this viewport here, double click into it, make sure you're in there. Then come up to the top here, on the ribbon, and you'll see we have a view tab. Click the view tab and click section. Come down here, you'll see that we have building section selected in the properties panel. Come down and just click on the left hand side here and drag right through your dwelling, and click again over here. Now we don't really want to have this line showing all the way through our drawing, so what we can do is this little zigzag in the middle here will split the line, and then we can drag these little blue markers out on each side. Okay, now we've got our section created. Come over here into the properties browser, scroll down, and for view name you can see we already have a section 1. So we'll just leave it at that for now, but that's where you want to go if you want to change the view name. Okay, over here on our left hand side in our project browser, come down to our sections tab, our section sheet I should say, building section, section 1, click on that. Now go back up, scroll back up, our sections tab here in our project browser, sections building section, click the plus on that one, click and drag our section across onto our sheet, click in the middle here. Now you'll see we've got a section cut through the dwelling. So we can double click into this viewport here. We can turn on these little markers here. So click onto each of the elevations, click the little box and turn it on. Now we've got our labels. Now we can go through and dimension these elevations here. So just type DI, that's a keyboard shortcut for dimension. Now we can go through and dimension all these. So I've dimensioned the slab height and I've dimensioned the pitching height. I'm going to put another dimension for the window level here. Okay, there's endless ways you can sew sections, but I'll just show you a simple way of doing it. Up the top here where it says annotate, click on that. And we'll have our regions here. What you're going to do is select this drop down below and choose masking region. Masking region is basically just like a white masking region that covers everything behind it. So up here we can select the type of line we want. We'll just do the straight lines, and the line style we're going to choose wide lines. And we can come down here and we'll start over to this left hand side here, draw all the way through, and we'll just run around the bottom of our slab. So make sure you got chain selected up here, makes it easier. Yeah, we can just run around the bottom of our slab here. Pull it back out to the side here, run it down, back and join it back up to the first line. And at the top here we can click this tick box for finish edit mode. Save the project if it comes up. And now we've got our little region around here. Okay, we can also label these other elements. So up here we go annotate, multi-category. Turn your leader off. Actually leave leader on, and we'll go to free end. We can label the roof. Okay, we can put some room names in here, so we can use the text below here. Up where it says annotate, click the text button. Now we can just type in some room names, so bathroom, kitchen, living. So you just label them to whatever room it's cutting through. And also here we don't have our trusses sewing, so a simple way to do this is come up the top here where it's in the annotate panel, and the region, to use this drop down, this time we're going to do filled region. So filled region is an area that you can choose a pattern to be filled. So I've already got one down here made for this trusses cut. So come over to our properties panel, and this little drop down, come all the way down to trusses cut, click on that. And up here, you'll choose this line style again. So what we're going to do is just choose 0.1 pen at the top here, and then with our straight line, come down here, we'll just draw a line through on the inside of these trusses here, join it back up, come up again, click our tick to finish the edit mode. Now I'll just put dash lines here, and that's just to kind of indicate where the trusses are. You can actually individually model in all your trusses, etc., but I'm just trying to keep this pretty simple for this tutorial. So yeah, we can label that as, you know, by using your text. So up here, annotate, click text. We can label that as prefabricated trusses. You can see this is quite big text, it doesn't match this other text here, so click on the label. Up here you can change your text size, change that down to 1.8. Down here, we can put a text down here too, for instance. So click the text button, to segment, come down here, put a label on. I will say slab and footings as per engineer's design. So click on that label, change the text size to 1.8. You can copy this across here. But there's a very basic section, just give you an idea how to do sections. So you can play around with that, label things however you want them, etc. But yeah, that'll get you started with doing sections. Okay, now we're going to run through how to PDF out your set of plans. So come over to your project browser. You see over here under sheets, we have all our list of sheets we've curated. So we'll start with the title page. At the moment, all we've got on the title page is just a list of sheets. Drag over to the side here. You can put like anything on what you want here. You can put like 3D views that we created, etc. on here. If you want to make a look, type whatever text you want. Okay, come down to the site plan. That's our site plan we created. We have that sitting there. We got our floor plan, etc. Door and window schedule, building elevations, and all that. So you come through all these. So if you'd like to rearrange any of these sheets, you just have to change these numbers here and automatically rearrange it. So for instance, if we wanted to move slab and plumbing plan up in front of the floor plan here, easy way to do it, just slowly double press on that, and up here you'll see the sheet title, bring up the number and the name. So we're going to change this up to floor plan. You can see it's WD02 for the floor plan. So the easy way to do this is WD02 and make it A. So and click OK, and that'll put it up just after the floor plan. You can see that. Now you can go through and renumber all the rest of these sheets. So WT02, so this should be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So what we do is we go 11, 10, 9, change this one to 8. So W08. This one, we'll make this one 7. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. Okay, now I've got our plumbing plan up in front of the floor plan here. I know it seems a bit tedious, but that's just kind of the way Revit works. It'd be good if there was a better system that you could do just drag and drop these, but not that I know of there is, so that's how you got to do it. Okay, now to PDF out these, come at the top here it says File, click that, and down here you can click Export. And when using Revit 2022, you have this export PDF function here. So we'll click that. Now up here, you can choose what to export, where it says export range. So current window will just export the current window you have selected. Visible portion of current window will only export the visible portion you have showing on your screen. But most of the time I use selected view sheets here, so click that. Over here you can have predefined ones that you've already set up. So WD, etc. So we'll just click WD on this one. And over here with little pennies, that's how you edit what sheets you want to print. So click on that. And over here, so we got this whole list of sheets. Click this button here, it says hide unchecked views. And that'll bring up all the views we have in the drawing. So come down here and we can make sure we have all the ones selected that we want. So we've got title page, site plan, floor plan, slab. Make sure we got all the way from 1 to 11. And we can uncheck these other two here that we don't need. Uncheck those two. So that's how you select the sheets you want to print. Click select. Okay, down here is what you want to call the name of the sheet. So we'll call it Granny Flat Concept. That's good enough. And then the location here, click browse. That's where you want to print it out to. So I'll put that on the desktop for now. There's desktop. Click open. That means it'll save to the desktop. Down here, page size. So I'd recommend just using used sheet size, because that way Revit will automatically pick up the sheet size. So if you've got an A2 sheet or A3 sheet, different pages, you'll print them out on the correct size. Either that, or if you're having issues, you can choose your own sheet. So down here you can choose whatever sheet size you want to print out on. So ISO A3, ISO A4, etc. For now, we'll just leave it on used sheet size. And I recommend you choosing zoom 100% size instead of fit to page, because that will keep it at correct scale if you choose zoom. Okay, and don't worry too much about the rest of these at the moment. You don't really need to worry about that too much. So we'll go export. That's just save for future sessions. That means you can save these settings as a predefined setup. We'll just go no for now. And that's how you PDF out your drawing. Once it's finished down here, it says ready, that means it's done. Now you can go open up your drawing wherever you saved it. So that's how you PDF out.